is up, Rotogrinders? Dean here. That's Dean7904 if you want to get all technical on me. Took me a second. I was like, is up, Rotogrinders? Oh, now I'm hearing myself talk, and that is a problem. You know what? Tech issues on my side. Can we do this again, or we're doing it live? We're doing it live? We're doing it live. Rotogrinders, it's GrindersLive. Dean7904 is the daily fantasy handle. Joining me today, Chop, I saw in the chat you did a mic check. I did not get a chance to see or hear you unless I wasn't paying attention. Can I hear you, Chop? Are you with us? Do you refuse to speak? Is it in your writer until the show actually starts?
I'm here. I'm trying to conserve my voice for this 3.5 hour marathon we got here now that we have to get through.
Yeah, you got to ration out your words appropriately, I suppose. But well, I know you're rounding up. We're here for 2 hours and change. Of course, we get relieved by the crunch time crew around 6:25 or so, give or take. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. I believe it's SquirrelPatrol and the CEO of the Bat and the Blitz, which we'll be talking about soon enough. 80 days? I think it's 80 days, maybe 79 until the official kickoff, the NFL season. They're going to be jumping in around 6:25, 6:30 or so. Take you guys home. But yeah, I mean, get comfortable, Chop, man. Yeah, we're at an hour and a half now. It is what it is, man.
It's absurd. Dean, I'd like to say something real quick and give a shout out to my DK representative. His name is Dan. Dan, he's my DK rep. I appreciate him. He sent me a very nice offer this morning. I had to decline it, Dean, because I can't travel to Houston this Friday, but boy, he had me hooked up, man. He had me hooked up with a meet and greet with the Rockets draft picks, whoever they end up being.
What?
A little shoot around on the court, on the Rockets home court. It was a really nice. It was a fantastic package. I think people underestimate how long of a drive it is around Texas from these different big cities. It's not easy to do that. So I couldn't make Houston is a full. I mean that probably about 4.5 hour, 5 hour drive for me to get down there downtown. Well, downtown too is rough, but shout out to him, man. I appreciate the offer.
Well, that's unfortunate. It's also you're a family guy too. You can't necessarily just pick up and go, I imagine.
I'd drop them in a heartbeat. They could fend for themselves. But yeah, man, just couldn't make it. But
the draft is this week.
That's what's it is. It's Thursday, ain't it? Yeah, it's crazy. I thought the same thing. I had to Google it. Like, is the draft really that quick after the season ends? The NFL drags it out for 3 months, and then they get the draft. And baseball, you don't even know there is a draft. And basketball, the end of season. Well, let's get to some draft. And now there's all this hot trade talk going on already, all around the league. The different names associated with the different. It's a pretty phenomenal sport, to be honest.
Is Wall going to get moved? Is he going to play ever again? What's the story with that?
Of course he'll play again. It's just a matter of trying to maximize what you can get out of in return for him, And so there's all kinds of things going. Dean, your Heat are linked to some pretty big names right now.
Beal.
It's interesting stuff going on out there, man.
I'm not sure. I don't know. The Embiid thing is just him joking around on Twitter. I haven't really dug into that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I imagine that's not a thing.
That can't be a thing, no.
Yeah. But you say maximize for Houston, they could have played Wall last year, and he could have played pretty well. They might have got a piece for him. I have no idea. Obviously, the contract is horrible.
But we might not have the number 3 pick now.
Yeah.
This is a clear cut. This is a clear-cut draft where you want to be in the top 3, and then there seems to be a pretty significant drop-off. So
that's the drop-off. Top 3. There's a 3-man tier basically. Because my understanding is there's no clear-cut number 1.
Exactly. There's 3 guys who I think you could all make a case. You could make a case for going number 1. I think there's one guy that stands out, but it's just my opinion. The other 2 guys, really good prospects, and then there's that big drop-off to the number 4 spot.
Who's the guy? Don't hold that on us. Who's the number 1 guy?
Jabari Smith from Auburn. He's the prototype, man.
Okay.
He's 6'10". He's like Giannis, 6'10", all arms and legs, huge wingspan, can already shoot a 3-pointer pretty adequately. He's going to play good defense in the league. He's young, 19, just got to work on a couple things. He's the guy I would want, yeah.
Also joining us, Keith Eister's Eyes. I saw you wrote an article today for Scores and Odds. We'll go ahead and drop that in the YouTube chat. Of course, Scores and Odds are a premium product, but your article happens to be free. We'll show the people. We'll talk about some of the player props you like throughout the show. Keith, do you follow college basketball? Do you have a take? Do you disagree with Chop? Are you on board with Chop here?
I don't follow college basketball all that closely. Obviously, a huge NBA fan, so love the drama around the draft and always some stars changing teams and things like that. So it's an exciting time. But as far as the prospects go, I mean, I read some articles and things like that, but I don't follow it much throughout the season.
Is there any bets you like? I saw people talking about like you can bet like Holmgren's going to go to get the second pick for a certain. Is there something that stands out for you? Have you kind of dug into that kind of stuff or not really?
I haven't done much NBA draft stuff since I've been around. Just haven't had the time to dig into it much. I do think Jabari's odds have come down significantly. Like he's trending towards being number one, or was that Paulo that I saw? One of them I saw their odds dropping considerably.
I feel like I saw Andy. I know Andy's written about some stuff in like previous seasons. I'm not sure if he has anything up there in scores and odds. I imagine somebody does, as far as draft stuff. I mean, NFL draft. I know a lot of sharp people are making money off that as well. I don't know if we have anything on there as far as scores and odds, so feel free to check out scoresandodds.com. I believe the 3-day free trial is still a thing as well. If you go to Rotogrinders.com, click on the banner, get yourself 3 days free of RG Premium, and I'm going to go ahead and no, not 3 days free of Scores and Odds, the premium. And I'm going to go ahead and drop your article, Keith. Let's show it some love. Let's get some eyeballs out there. Let's get a little synergy. Your article is free today, and you have some baseball props, and I think at least on Prize Picks, one of those moved. And I got one of these earlier today. Mania, I got him last night at over 5.5, and I think that might have changed last I saw, or some places he's 6 now. Is that one of your favorite props? I guess it is. It still is. 5.5 strikeouts for Sean Mania tonight.
Yep, that is one of my favorites. Good matchup here against an Arizona team. He is still available at 5.5 on a couple books. He did move to 6.5 on Fanduel, it looks like, but there are still 5.5s out there. But yeah, that's one of the ones I wrote up today.
Yeah, Ketel Marte is back for Arizona for what it's worth. Well, let's take a screenshot, Keith. As far as this slate, it's a doozy, man. It's a good one. 13 gamer. I don't think there's a clear like this is the best pitcher. One of like 6 guys could be the top pitcher in the slate, and none of it would surprise me. Of course, other guys can too, but you can sort of isolate maybe a couple of guys that might be due for a bounce back, and were great earlier in the season. We have a couple win games as well too. Or this is the first day of summer, according to Dave Potts. He told me that in the article today. And if you look at the Kevin Roth Weather Edge, there's like 6 or 7 different fire emojis. So great hitting weather. Not on the slate, but Cincinnati's got a fire emoji. Pittsburgh has a fire emoji. We have one in Atlanta. We don't have fire emojis in Minnesota and Chicago because for some reason there's no historical data. What is going on in Minnesota and Chicago? Like we've never seen weather like this before. That seems weird to me. I don't know. Going to talk to Roth about that. There's a couple, even Oakland. Not that you're really chasing a lot there, but yeah, that ballpark stinks as is for hitting, but a little bit better. Fire emoji there. Wind blowing out, 88 degrees, but. Yeah, Keith, no clear best stack. There's a couple in the conversation, but I think it's wide open. Do you see it the same way?
I do. And I think there are a lot of good offenses in good spots. I think there's a lot of good pitching on the slate. But the top 2 guys, by price at least, are in difficult matchups with Cortez against Tampa Bay, who hasn't struck out much against lefties. Cortez's strikeout rate has kind of been all over the place this year. So do we want to pay top dollar for him? You've got Gaussman up there as well, who came out of the gates on fire this season, but has struggled here in his recent starts. Cease has a massive strikeout rate, difficult matchup for him against Toronto. So that kind of leaves Mania as the top guy for me because of the matchup. He isn't the biggest strikeout guy either, but I think as far as safety goes, like for cash games, Mania would be my first look. Spencer Strider, we've got to talk about. Young guy for the Braves who has come out striking awesome. Everybody out. Yeah, strikeout rate over 36%. Difficult matchup for him, though, against San Francisco, who doesn't strike out a ton. And the walks are a bit of an issue for him. So if he starts walking a bunch of guys, we're not sure how deep he can go into the game. I like the matchup for another really young prospect. Roansy Contreras has been pretty good. Not the longest leash in the world, but the strikeout rates have been really good. Like the price tag on him. So yeah, that's a half a dozen guys or so. I think any one of those guys could be the top pitcher on the slate.
But you mentioned safety. You don't care about. You're not playing cash games. You're shooting for tournaments, right? You care about upside, I imagine.
Yeah, correct. So, I'm going to take shots on Dylan Cease in a tough matchup for sure. Love the strikeout rates of the young guys. I'll have plenty of Strider, plenty of Contreras. But yeah, like the Cortez and Gaussman is my biggest issue with this slate and what to do with them. I've always kind of said that Cortez was overperforming his strikeout ability early in the season, and that has kind of come to fruition here recently. But the guy is awesome. Like he never gets beat up. He could go 7 or 8 innings in this matchup, and if he ends up with 6 or 7 Ks, that could be good enough to be tops on the slate. Gaussman showed awesome strikeout ability early in the season, but that's kind of went away. The command is not what it was. He didn't walk anybody in like the first 40 innings of the season, but now he's struggled here a little bit in like 3 or 4 consecutive starts. So what to do with those two guys is kind of my biggest question on the slate right now.
Minnesota and Chicago, it's going to be hot, and the wind's blowing out about 15 miles per hour. Minnesota to center, Chicago to left. The Cortez one, I'll stick with you because since you brought him up, Keith, this Tampa lineup is without their 2 best hitters, Wander Franco and Brennan Lau. Now they had 2 injuries. Not that Kiermaier is good. The Outlaw's not good, but he's out. He's not in the lineup anymore. Margot got hurt. He's out of the lineup as well. You did not get Choi. I was thinking you might get Choi in this lineup, and the thing is, it's a great ballpark to pitch in. The Ks have gone down for Cortez, right? The regression was kind of sort of expected to some degree. So, like, it's a bad lineup, but they're pretty contact heavy, especially at the top, with the exception of Josh Lau and Phillips at the bottom. So, yeah, and they're also they're asking for full price on Cortez. So it's a bit of a quandary. And I was thinking about just betting Cortez over on outs because I feel like he could be pretty good, but maybe only strike out like 4 or 5. I'm not sure. What's your take on that? Because the asking price is a lot, and same thing with Gaussman. They're still asking for a ton of money in Gaussman, and he's just not paying that off, obviously.
Yeah, I would like the over bets on Cortez, assuming it's probably 17.5 is the number. If that's the number, I would definitely take the over on that. I like him to get through 6 innings pretty comfortably. You touched on this Rays lineup against lefties. They've really struggled this season. ISO is under 100 and Woba is sitting at 247 versus lefties from this group. So I think that Cortez pitching deep into this game is pretty likely.
Aaron Judge not playing baseball this evening, at least not from the start. He's not in the official, not in the Yankees lineup. Checking out the ownership as well and see how it speaks to the conversation. On DK, big number for Minaya, 42%. He's 9K. He's cheaper than Cortez. He's cheaper than Gaussman. He's cheaper than Cease. I don't like that number. I understand why he's getting it. 33% to Cortez. Strider at 25 at 8.6. You mentioned Contreras, probably not sneaking up on anybody. Good matchup there against Chicago. Some volatility, but at 7.4K, I'm willing to take it on. And let's just jump over for yourself, Chop. As far as Fanduel, I presume that's kind of the place you tend to play more. Feel free to say otherwise. Are you hitting that the slam tonight? They get the big boy slam. I got 8 bullets, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
How many you got, Chopper?
I mean, I don't know. What are you talking about? Which one are you
How
talking
much you
about?
bet? The slam tonight on FanDuel. They have like the $44 slam. It's like 200K, 50K up top.
I got to sign up for that.
It was almost full last I saw. Man. I had some tickets and I added 2 more. I wanted to get 8. I'm going to fire 8 there. And it's actually, so there's out of 5,300 spots, 4,800 have been claimed. So it's going to sell very soon.
Oh, the show's costing me giblets. The show's costing me.
You money. You might have some terrible takes. You never know.
These 13 gamers are my sweet spot.
Is it?
I don't. We'll figure it out by the end of the night.
I mean, just play the results.
I see your guys are in chat here. Naked HD is coming for you, Dean. They're already.
I don't know if they're my guys.
They made an early appearance for you today.
Why do I claim them? I don't understand why those are my people.
Seems like they're targeting you.
Well, maybe. I don't know who they're targeting. But producer Steve's all over it. He's deleting those messages. Feel free to drop your comments in chat as well. Hit that like button too. Like, when you guys are jumping in here. Oh, no Goldschmidt, according to the chat. No Goldie today? Is that right? Is he not playing baseball tonight? Why wouldn't he be playing baseball against Gonzalez? That's unfortunate. Let's see. Edmund, Donovan, Arenado. Oh, Yepes is batting cleanup. I think he's like 2-2 or 2-3 on FanDuel. It's a nice little punt there. Gorman, Carlson, Bader. Oh, Nootbaar, Lars. I feel like we haven't seen him for a while. Nootbaar's back. And Kniezer. I guess Yadier's hurt. Did I not know this? Yeah. So there's your St. Louis lineup against Chichi Gonzalez, probably one of the worst pitchers taking the bump tonight. Just taking a peek at the ownership stuff on FanDuel, Chop, see how much different. Manaya's 9.9, so he's 21%. Cortez, 17% at 10.5. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got a really good shot. If you're going to make an argument, he's at least the quality start in theory should be on layaway. Strider and all his upside. The K's, biggest K number on the slate by far. Of course, he walks too many guys, and it is hot in Atlanta. Then Contreras at 7%. Gallen, Cease, like nobody's playing Cease at 9.6, which who wants to pick on Toronto, especially in that heat? Positive ballpark hit baseballs, but you have to hit the ball first for it to matter. I like him for tournaments, and Gausman, man, nobody's playing Gausman, and I kind of get it. Well, what is your thoughts here, Chop? Do you agree with our sentiment that like pitching is pretty wide open?
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's not a like a true clear cut ace, Yeah, I would say that like Manaya's good. I like Manaya. He's probably my favorite, but I get it. He's expensive and he has these hiccups sometimes. Cortez, on the surface, you talked about the lineup being some guys being out, and that's good. But the lineup they do have in there is pretty decent as far as low strikeout rate. So that's gonna, Cortez is gonna. And I'm also looking at it like this is the third time he's faced him in the last 4 weeks. Maybe some familiarity at least sets in at some point, even though he's done a real good job against him the previous 2 matchups here this year. But 3 times within a month. That's a lot of times to see a pitcher. So who knows how that's going to play out. But there's after that, I like Gausman. I think it's a fair enough matchup. I don't think Chicago's a team I certainly wouldn't start a left-handed pitcher against. Right-handed pitcher, I think could maybe have a little success against them. And the one guy you guys mentioned that I do like Strider. But there's question marks about him too. Like, he is a 2-pitch pitcher. That is bullpen type of stuff. Like, he just 95% of his pitches are going to come from two things. He's got an awesome slider and a really good four-seam fastball. Very good with him, but at some point, only having 2 pitches is going to catch up to you. So there's question marks about him. Will it be tonight? I don't know. He's like, they just can't hit the ball hard against the slider if they even making contact. So I don't know, man. It is kind of wide open, Dean. I think you're right.
Yeah, and Strider is like one of those guys, even Contreras as well, are typically I feel a little better if they're the high variance guys are not going to be heavily owned, Keith, and they kind of sort of are, just the way the nature of the slate. And remember the old cheese Robbie Ray rule, right? You're supposed to not play him when everybody else is, and gravitate when he's going to be low as far as ownership. But I also think that where you got to roster somebody, and I feel pretty good about their matchup. And I'm shooting for upside like you're shooting for upside. I want to take down some tournaments. I don't necessarily want to in cash. Yeah, well, your thoughts here, Keith, as far as ownership? Do you think you have any big stands? Is there anything it's like you see that's wrong, or you're just going to X out Gallen or Gausman or Cease for whatever reason? I would say this: I don't think I'm getting much beyond the top 6 or 7. I don't think I have to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's unclear who the top pitcher is, but I think we have a pretty clear top tier of those 6 or 7 guys that you mentioned. The number on Manaya is pretty scary for tournaments. So I agree. He had 1 game where he struck out 12 this season, but that's not who Manaya really is. He's more of the going to work into the 7th inning and get you 6 or 7 strikeouts type of guy. So I'm comfortable being underweight on 40+% for Manaya. I'll be going heavy on the big strikeout guys. Dylan Cease is a guy you mentioned. I really like him as well. Obviously, really tough matchup against Toronto. But if he's on and he finds the control, like when he starts, he's same issue as with Strider. Like he can walk too many guys and run the pitch count up. So then you end up with 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. But if he's got the command working, can limit the walks a little bit, I think he can navigate this lineup well enough to get through 7 innings with 8 or 9 strikeouts. So I do like the upside for Cease despite the difficult matchup. Strider I'll be overweight on just because of the K rate. Gallen is interesting to me. He's another guy I wrote up in the article. His strikeout prop was sitting at 4.5. That seemed too low. I like the over on 4.5. Strikeout rate has come down 3 years in a row. He was at 28% strikeout 2 years ago to 26% last year, and this year he's at like 25.2, I think it was. So he's down at 22% this year. I think there's room up on that 22% that he's shown so far this year. I dug in like the swinging strikes and the called strikes. All of those still look good. Like the underlying metrics are similar to last year when he posted a 26% strikeout rate. So I think there's room up on his strikeouts. I like Gallen a good bit for tournaments too. And San Diego is possibly without Machado. I'm not sure that we got that lineup yet. But Machado twisted that ankle pretty good. He might have to go on the IL. So San Diego without Tatis and Machado is not an offense that scares me.
Yeah, there was this report. It appears, if nothing else, it's not as severe as first speculated. People thought it was going to be a big deal at first. There was a report from a beat writer talking about Machado was walking around the clubhouse fine last night, for whatever that's worth. Does that mean he's playing tonight? Probably not. I don't know. We'll see. But maybe he doesn't go on the IL as first assumed. That's what I thought. Like the way he fell, it's like, it just looked like a really bad ankle sprain, or maybe he hurt something even more severely. But that kind of stuff matters. Could tell Marte is back for Arizona for what it's worth. I'm not running away from Manaea for that reason, but that lineup is a little bit better as well. What juice did you have to lay at 4.5 for Gallen? That seems you probably delayed a bunch of juice, right?
It was significant, but not terrible. I believe it was around -130. On FanDuel, that was definitely the best price. Some of the other books had it around -150, but I did get the over on FanDuel before it moved at -128 is what I got it at.
Carty in the bat. Support DerekCarty. Check out the bat. He's got Gallen projected for 5.5 strikeouts for what it's worth. He has Manaea as the highest as far as strikeouts too, which again 6.5. Cortez at 6.5. I got him over on Prize Picks last night. I bet both those guys over. So paired Cortez and Manaea together. I think they were both at 5.5, and I just thought that line was a little bit too low for both of them. See Kirkwood in the chat. Kirkwood is you know what? This is for you, Kirkwood. I made a purchase, Chop.
Okay, is that a box?
I don't know if you're watching the video or not.
Just for men, I think.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I mean, what a purchase.
Okay.
What an adult.
Good, I was gonna say. I don't see the condoms, bro.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was a box of condoms. I can't see. I got my screens.
It's a package deal. Yeah, they're running a special.
Well, when
there's an
you
implication.
get you some of that just for men in there, you might be breaking out a couple rubbers, Dean. You never know, man. You never know.
There's a Venn diagram. Once you get the just for men, you're good to go.
Well, Kirk's a little disappointed. He thought you were gonna be having that thing dyed today.
Maybe I'll do it for the Friday show. You guys. I saw you in the chat. You and Kirkwood and the three of us, right?
Yeah, he's not going to partake in the show if you're coming out looking like you are right now. He's not going to do it.
That's understandable. I hear you. Fair enough. Some other names. Yeah, feel free to throw out some other pitchers you guys are thinking about. You guys are talking about. Marco Gonzalez, man. Keith, I know anybody throwing baseballs against Oakland in theory, but like, what is the upside of Marco Gonzalez and what's his K rate these days? Like 14% or something like that.
Yep. Not enough upside. Like the matchup against Oakland, obviously, but I think one of these guys in a tougher matchup with better strikeout stuff, we'll get there today. Like there's enough options. I'm not going to be dumpster diving down here too much. The other guy with a great matchup is Rich Hill. So if I need to save some money, maybe I take a look at him. I think his strikeout stuff is not what it once was, but he still has some strikeouts in there, and he gets a great matchup against Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, Dick Mountain's got to be like 40 years old these days, right? How old is Rich Hill?
He's pushing 42 at least. I think he's up there.
42 at TOO or 42 as in the number 42.
I think 42. It might even be more than that. I'll look it up. Yeah, he is 42 years old.
Yeah, he was born on 3/11. Man, yeah, I get it, sure. Urquidy's another one, guys, like maybe kind of sort of somewhat. I think he's like 6'5" or so on DK, I guess. I see Jack in the chat's talking about Manaea's splits at home. They're not great. I don't think I care about that. Do you care about that, Keith?
No, not something I really factor in unless their home park is extreme, like Coors Field.
Not.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a pretty neutral park. So.
Let's see. A couple other comments in chat as far as some pitchers. I saw somebody asking about Flaherty. He's a no-go, right? We're looking at 75 pitches from Flaherty. Like, no, I'm not doing it. Chop, any interest in Flaherty?
Let me see. Let me pull up Flaherty here on my particular spreadsheet, Dean. Let me see here. Where's he at? Yeah,
Why
I've
is
got
your spreadsheet not pulled up? We're talking about pitchers.
I got to keep track of the chat. Kirky's in there. I got to pull up the plate IQ.
You have a side monitor or no? No side monitor?
I've got 2 monitors and
what are you doing? What else are you playing? Like
you got
Gallagher or something?
I got the Twitter going for the lineups to come out. I got the RG followed so I can get the line. The Twitter RG is where you get the fastest lineup alerts. Like that's when they'll drop them first. So I got that pulled up. I'm running out of space here, Dean. But Flaherty is a 0 for me right now. So yeah, I don't need to. Even though I don't love the pitching slate, I think it's kind of like wide open. I still don't want to play a guy that is going to be limited like that.
Well, you clicked on that naked HD, and that probably is what took it down your Excel spreadsheet.
It's fake news, Dean. I did not click on naked HD.
Keith, you're running your 20. I know typically you run 20 lineups on DK sometimes. Is that what we're rolling with today, or what are we doing?
Yep, that's what we're doing. Flaherty's
not in that pool, right?
He's not. Just don't think there's enough upside there in 75 pitches. Don't mind the matchup, like the matchup actually. But he was a little bit wild in that first start. I think he needs a few starts to get his footing here. We'll be playing him in a start or two, but I think you need to wait at least one more.
No Bryce Harper today for Philadelphia. Martin Perez and all his ground balls, suppressing of homers. It's just a weird game. I don't really know what to do with Philadelphia. Harper being out. He's been out a lot of late. Is that UCL or lack thereof a UCL? Is that the problem? Is he like, I know he's not been playing the field, just DHing.
Yeah, I think they're just giving him enough rest to where that thing doesn't flare up on him because the bat's obviously what's important there.
I was not really considering Martin Perez, but that Philadelphia lineup just looks really bad. When Schwarber, Hoskins, Castellanos, Realmuto, there's some Ks there, and then you got left on left for Didi, Baum, Bierling, Camargo, and Munoz. But like, he's expensive. Perez is the problem. When he's not this big K guy, is he cracking the top 20? Does that move the needle with no Harper? And the back of that lineup there, Keith, is pretty rough for Philly.
It does a little bit, and I cannot believe how good he's been this season. But like you said, the strikeouts are around 19%. Just I don't know if there's enough upside at that price. If you don't get a big strikeout performance from anybody else, he's probably good enough to be in the conversation. But you're looking at 5 or 6 strikeouts. He doesn't have a huge leash either. Probably 6 innings. Maybe he gets through 7 max.
John in chat says Harper's got an infected blister, which I missed. I assume that was like the injury he's been dealing with all season long, and he missed a couple games not too long ago. He hasn't played since the 17th. Okay, interesting. How long does it take to get over an infected? Chop, you have some experience with this, right?
Why would you say that?
I don't know.
Blisters, Dean.
I feel like you told me in confidence once. No, I don't know.
That's not. Little known fact though, Dean, that when you get stung by a jellyfish in salt water, it will blister up on you. I did have that with my senior year in high school. Went out skiing and got a jellyfish wrapped around my arm, and the next day it was blistered all over. It was from my wrist all the way up to my mid forearm. It was crazy.
Is that the one you're supposed to get a friend to pee on you?
I think that's an old wives' tale. I did not.
I think that's real. I think that's
this though. I did. So I had the blisters, Dean. It was all blistered up. It was nasty. A few days later, we had a football game, and I missed the practice, but I couldn't miss the game, right?
Yeah.
So I put on my forearm pad, and I go out there, and I come back after the game, and I take it off. I popped all the blisters, man. Just popped them, boom, just like that, and it was all over with after that.
You're a gamer. Hey, let me ask you this: say you and Kirk Dees are water skiing, and one of you gets stung by a jellyfish. How good of a friend are you? Are you willing to pee on Kirk Dees to get rid of that sting?
I'll piss all over his face if he wants me to.
Well, I didn't say specifically he got stung in the face. Okay.
I'll let it rip. And if he needed me to, I'll let it rip.
Well, and now reverse it. Now, if you got stung, are you cool? I mean, is he the
hard
first
pass? Guy? Hard pass. I'll take the infection.
Yeah. Well, Keith, did you have any experience? Can you confirm this is real, right? I see some people in chat talking about the whole pee thing.
It is a real thing. I don't know about how effective it is, like the medical diagnosis or the medical effectiveness of it. So I would have to do some research before I made that decision if I ever found myself in the position.
Yeah, I'm not, to be clear, I'm not offering medical advice. I'm not speaking from, I don't know. I've seen it in a TV show once or something probably, but TV has never lied to me. So I assume it's real, and that's definitely what has happened. Anybody else that's worth noting as far as pitchers, Chop? Again, on Fanduel, the prices are. Oh, go ahead,
one guy we didn't talk about, and I mentioned it because Kirk was in chat and he says this is his under the radar guy of the day. It's Matt Swarmer.
Oh,
right, and I get it because I kind of was looking at Swarmer earlier too, going, dang, I wouldn't mind playing that actually. You know, there's some underlying things there that could be good, except for this the Roth weather report really scares me off with the red emoji, the fire emoji, and because I like Ronzi Contreras too, man, quite a bit. I'd love to play both of those guys in tournaments. I probably will anyway, just in case Roth is, lost his fastball and is not quite the emoji we thought it was, but it scares me off. But I see it.
The weather is the weather. I don't know how it matters how good Roth's fastball may or may not be. Like it's,
that's debatable, Dean. That's debatable. But I think there are two young pitchers in that game. I think there's a tad bit of upside on both of them, and so I like it. I don't mind that.
Swarmer is so weird because small sample size stuff. In 20.2 innings, 20 2/3, his home run per 9 is 4.35, which is insanity. Just ridiculous. He's had his face fully punched in so far. But one of those games was against the Yankees. The Yankees got him like 5 or 6, and one of those games was a win game. And Wrigley, if you want, and also like when the ball's not going over the fence, his BABIP, he's been super lucky. His BABIP is 157. Like, when home runs aren't factored in the BABIP, that's batting average on balls in play. Of course, homers are not in play. His left on base is almost 92%. So either he's giving up home runs or that's it. Home run the fly ball at 30% as well too. It's fun with small sample size stuff, but it really is pretty goofy. I am more on the Pittsburgh side. I like the Pirates last night. I'm going back to Pittsburgh to some degree. Keith, do you have a thought as far as Swarmer? Because it's not happening for me. Yeah,
two-pitch pitcher, not a huge prospect, but he does have a really good slider. And there are a lot of Ks in this Pittsburgh lineup. 26% strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching this year. So it's the price tag for me. He's just a little bit too expensive. I would rather get to Contreras on the other side of the game. I like the matchup against the Cubs for Contreras. I think like his stuff just plays a little bit better. So I don't need Swarmer on this slate. If he was a little bit cheaper, if he was in that 7K range and it was between him and Rich Hill, then I would prefer Swarmer. But since he's kind of in that range with Contreras, I'm going to be more on Contreras, and I don't mind the Pittsburgh bats as well.
Yeah, Eric in chat saying chasing the 12-run game from Pittsburgh. No, first of all, I was on it last night too, so it's not like a chase. But I still think they're well positioned, and the ballpark typically is not great. But again, we're getting a nice ballpark bump from the Weather Edge tool as well. I do see Mark. I see you in chat. Umpires. There's actually a lot of extreme umpires today. I believe they're all extreme pitchers. Let me just double check and confirm as I kind of slide over. And producer Steve, you guys are watching the screen. He's showing this stuff off. He's showing off some of our fabulous tools, showing off the lineup HQ. Not sure if he's scrolling over, but if you're scrolling over, you can see the extreme pitcher stuff. And okay, extreme pitchers umpire for the following: Rich Hill, Jack Flaherty, Dylan Cease, Matt Swarmer in that Chicago game, Chichi Gonzalez, extreme pitchers umpire, Kevin Gausman, extreme pitchers umpire, Contreras, of course, the other side of that Chicago-Pittsburgh game, and Bo Brisky is got himself an extreme pitchers umpire. Do we care a lot about this, Chop? I mean, if anything, Cease and Gausman get a little bit more upside, I suppose, a tick. But it's always sort of incremental, break ties, that kind of thing. And certain pitchers like that need corners, like a Strider. I don't want him with the extreme hitters umpire, that kind of thing. How much do you care about this, Chop?
It is like you said, it's a tiebreaker. It's a small factor. I don't mind. It has to be the extreme, the absolute extreme, and then I can maybe make it a little more actionable. But anything in the middle doesn't move the needle. But yeah, for the extreme cases, it can be a tiebreaker for sure.
That does give a slight bump to Cease for me. He's a guy that struggles with control quite a bit. So anytime you get a bump in the right direction for a guy that talented, I will probably add a little bit of Cease for that.
Franmil Reyes is back tonight. Just kind of a heads up in that ballpark in Minnesota where the weather is conducive to banging out some homers. He's 2-3 on Fanduel. He's obviously not had a great season, but just power potential, power upside. We talk about Yepes as a cheapie, and this is kind of like speaks to the whole slate on Fanduel, man. There's just no reason to get beyond. There's like 6 guys, and like basically that's all I'm going to play. Well, I'm only making 8 lineups anyway, so if I was running 150, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd extend to some of the really cheap guys because salary doesn't matter a heck of a lot because there's so much good cheap stuff. O'Neal is still 2K on FanDuel. A lot of the Pirates are still cheap over there. Franmil is also 2.8 on DK, which seems too cheap for his power potential. They did get rid of Mercado. I believe he was DFA'd on the Cleveland side. I assume that was the other half of the Franmil Reyes deal. Is there anything else in chat that the people want us to talk about as far as pitchers? I believe we've essentially talked it all the way through. Chop, give me your synopsis or rundown. Some people they don't start 5 o'clock. We start the show. They don't jump in right away. They come in right now. They just got home from work. They got their sandwich. They got their drink. They're good to go. Ready to play some DFS. They want to hear what Chop has to say. They don't want to rewind and then hear us on like 1.5 speed. So give them the synopsis, Chop. What are we looking at tonight as far as pitchers?
Well, there's 26 pitchers that are going to start for teams tonight, and there's some bad ones that you don't want to touch. There's some good ones. I don't think anybody stands out as a clear cut. Last night Garrett Cole type of pitcher. You got to start Garrett Cole. No, you don't have to start any of these guys, but the top 6 or 7 are really solid. Mania, Cortez, Gallen, Strider's okay. Cease, Gausman. Then it gets a little bit iffy after that if you want to take chances on guys. So. I don't know. I think it seems like it's a really good night to just kind of spread out the love here in your lineups. Last night I could definitely get behind. Let's lock in Garrett Cole, or let's put like 60%, 70% behind Garrett Cole, and then let the opto do the rest for you. Tonight seems like a let's spread it out kind of night.
Yeah, I ended up on a good bit of Cole. My best lineup, it turned out, had McClanahan. Made a run at it last night, Chop. We were 4th in the slam on FanDuel. With McClanahan, like, come on, what are we doing? But of course, that shuffles up. I spend it up to be different, and look what happens. It was fun. We did okay. Your thoughts here, Keith, as far as a slate, any sort of big stands? I know you're reiterating, you're saying the same things over and over, but again, we're getting people in and out throughout the show. Give me the summary as far as pitchers, how you're tackling it, and I know you're coming at it more from a DK perspective.
Yeah, Mania is pretty clearly the top, safest pitcher, but I don't like the ownership number on him, so I'll probably be underweight there in tournaments. Taking some chances on some of the bigger strikeout guys. Dylan Cease, tough matchup for him, but I do like the strikeout rate. Same for Spencer Strider. Going to be overweight on both of those guys. Cortez is showing quite a bit of ownership, so I'd probably come in slightly underweight. I think he's another safe option, but a little bit concerned about the strikeout upside there against Tampa Bay. But there's definitely innings upside. He could go very deep into this game. Kevin Gausman has been in poor form here recently, but was one of the best pitchers in baseball for the first month or so of the season. I'll probably be taking some shots on him, just hoping that he can kind of recapture some of that stuff that he had going on early. Don't mind the matchup against the White Sox. They don't strike out a ton, but when Gausman's right, he can be one of the top pitchers in baseball. I like Gallen today. Matchup against San Diego, potentially without Machado. And I think that there's room for him to increase his strikeout rate this season. He's historically been higher than where he is so far this season. And then another young guy, Roansy Contreras, against the Cubs. Like the matchup, good ballpark, also some good hitting weather. But he's got the swing and miss stuff that he can get through this Cubs lineup.
All right, going to talk hitters in a second. Do want to mention, if y'all are not aware, I don't know, have you guys played a best ball? Chop, you a best ball guy?
Yeah, why not? I'll play some best ball. Except for Bime got this spike week thing going, and now he can't return my messages, man, in the Slack.
Is he too big for you?
This is nuts, man.
Does he know you won $1 million twice? He's not returning your DMs?
This is Mr. Spike Week, Mr. Best Ball, so he won't even return my messages.
Unbelievable. Do you have RG Premium? Maybe that's the problem. He only talks to the guys that are premium or Spike Week accounts?
Okay, maybe I need to sign up then.
Well, I'm pretty sure you know a guy, and you probably can get hooked up. You know, DB will probably juice you up if nobody else will do it for you. Yeah, you mentioned it. Bime4, I know he's a part of that team. He's tweeting about the best ball stuff all the time. It is spikeweek.com. That is the premier resource for best ball for any sport, not just football. Apparently, there is best ball draft kits for NFL, NBA, MLB, NFL playoffs, NBA playoffs, golf as well. You also get access to the Spike Week. There's best ball tools, including ADP tools, Draft IQ, which I'm guessing, well, I don't know what it is. I'm just ignorant. I was going to say it's something like Slate IQ or Plate IQ. Not sure, but there's a thing called Draft IQ. Oh, what that does is it tracks your exposures across all your drafts. So I get a certain percentage of this guy, a certain percentage of that guy. You can kind of keep track of that. So check out spikeweek.com and Chop, if you need me to, I'll use my leverage. I'll make a call.
Dean,
I can hook you up.
The underdog best ball's got like a $3 million prize this year. Are you gonna max enter it?
I've not played them at all, and I feel like I probably should be. And there's a little bit of FOMO, but like I haven't. Yeah, I haven't done it. I have a few best ball baseball like season drafts and like through Fantrax with some friends. But yeah, I haven't. Am I missing out? Sell me on it.
Well, I mean, it's best ball. You draft, and then you don't have to worry about it. It's the beauty of it, You draft a team, and then once that draft's over with, you don't have to worry about setting your lineup the 17 weeks of the year. So I like that. They're throwing a lot of money out there. You got to get a little piece of it, right? You got to take a shot.
I think they've sold a couple of those, right? Have they sold out a couple of them?
Yeah.
Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I mean, I'm sure you're probably right, but I mean, God, you got to think about it. It's crazy. It's only June. Like, these things are in full effect, and it's only June. It's crazy how the NFL drafting has, taken like all year long kind of a thing now. You get like 2-month break, and then get back to best ball drafting. And
I know you gotta, the football guys, there's a long off season. They gotta argue about stuff on Twitter, but like everybody talking about week 17, it's like, dude, you have no idea who's gonna be good on week 1, let alone week 15, let alone week 17. You have no clue who's gonna be injured, who's not gonna be injured. I don't know. There's my analysis. Did you have a thought on that, Chop? Like, people are obsessing over, do you see who they're playing week 17? Like, well, you don't even know if they're playing and if who's going to be good, who's not going to be good. You don't know. You're setting yourself up for success best way possible. You're looking for clean routes, but I don't know. There's my analysis for free.
I don't disagree with you that I'm not drafting based on week 17. That's for sure. I don't know what, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in week 17? But I figure early on like this, if you are going to draft early, just spread it out a lot. Just don't load up on.
Get a lot of running backs, right? That's my understanding. The Twitter
I love to take running backs, man. You can't have enough running backs on your best ball roster. This ain't the real game. This is best ball, man. You need the running backs.
Keith, do you have best ball takes?
I do not. Probably need to get involved too. I mean, obviously we spend so much time researching and everything. We're in tune, but yeah, I haven't found the time to take part in the drafts, but definitely interested in it, and definitely going to check out the Spike Week stuff we got going on for sure.
Yeah, it seems like a fun thing, and I probably should dabble in it. Also, you're tying up money for a long time, but like you said, Chop, there's a lot of money to be won as well. Let's talk about tonight's sticks, the bats, the stacks. I'm going to look at our consensus stuff here, Keith, pulling it up on our expert rankings, consensus value rankings. Myself, Kirk Dees, who's in chat, Grant Neefer, Dave Potts, Cheese is good. The number one team, according to our consensus rankings when it comes to stacks, is Boston. Boston, St. Louis, slight hit with the lack of Goldie. Angels, Atlanta, there's my Pirates. I got them 5th. Minnesota, I'm the only person to rank Minnesota. I got them 4th. I'm on an island in Minnesota. I'm okay with that. Houston, and then a little shout out to the Yankees as well. Of course, Judge is not playing either, so slight hit to them. Do you agree with that? Did you have any preferences? And it's kind of wide open. Like any one of those teams, like you can reverse those almost, and I'm okay with it. What's your take?
Yeah, I had Boston and St. Louis pretty clearly at the top. No Goldie in the lineup is definitely a hit to St. Louis. He's been one of the best hitters in baseball this year. That matchup against Chi-Chi, though, I'm still interested, even without their best hitter in there. You mentioned a couple of value bats, Gorman and Yepes, even Dylan Carlson. Like there's some good value in that St. Louis lineup. So I'm still going to be using plenty of them, even without Goldie. Like this matchup for Boston against the Detroit rookie. Atlanta is at the top of the list as well. DeSclafani coming back from injury hasn't been quite right this season. So like Atlanta a good amount. The Angels against Heasley, who has been pretty bad for Kansas City, like them a good amount. The Yankees do take a hit against with no Judge, and then against the Tampa Bay bullpen. I just don't like targeting bullpen games very much. They're going to match up throughout. Tough ballpark for them too, down in Tampa. So I'd have the Yankees pretty far down that top tier. I do like Minnesota as well. Savali is not somebody that scares me. Very low strikeout rate. And the Mets are another team I'll have a little bit of. Urquidy is a pretty good pitcher, but low strikeouts, and he is susceptible to the home run. So I don't mind the Mets.
No Cavan Biggio. He was just kind of a cheapie. I thought it was interesting. He's not playing baseball tonight. We got the Padres lineup, and there is no Machado. I see, let's see, Jason in chat. Why no Padres? And I miss him. Well, because Gallen's pretty good, and the Padres, without Tatis all season, and of course now without Machado, it's Grisham, it's Profar, Cronenworth, who's still 6K on DK. Get out of town. Luke Voigt, Mazzara, Hosmer, Alfaro. Abrams I like as a cheapie. He's buried, though, in the 8-hole. And then Kim. It's a 6.5 total. Obviously, it's Manai on the other side. Lowest total on the board, I believe. There are 26 teams tonight, Chop, and the Padres will probably be like, I don't know, 18 for me or something. First, do you have a thought as far as the Padres? Did we miss something? I'm not on board with it.
The Padres as a stack?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that one. Yeah, I don't like that one. I don't know where that came from. Nah, Gallen's good enough.
Chat. I want to ask questions on behalf of the chat. If we missed a stack,
the chat said, yeah, I'm not. San Diego as a stack, nah. If you feel like that's what's something good, go for it. But there's a lot of other spots. I think, like's been mentioned, the clear consensus for me is Boston. And then there's a big drop-off after that. And I do like Minnesota also, like you mentioned. I think Baltimore is a nice little a piece right there that you could get in there. I was going to say a little bit earlier, or when we got to it, I was going to say I know Kirk likes Swarmer, and he's interesting, but I thought O'Neal Cruz really sparks this Pittsburgh lineup. I think he's a pretty good player. And then I was just kind of sifting through some numbers here, and I pulled him up on DraftKings. Like, it's a shame we don't have like two massive, really good 11K pitchers, because this Pittsburgh lineup on DraftKings there's nobody after Key Brian Hayes and Brian Reynolds, which they aren't even 4K. They're under that. After those two guys, there's not even anybody in that lineup over 3K. Like you can get that whole 5-man stack for Pittsburgh super, super cheap. I don't know if you have to have that salary savings tonight, though, because of the pitching, but they're interesting because of the salaries, if for nothing else. So I think that one's under the radar. So yeah, those are the guys. In St. Louis, like we mentioned already, St. Louis is good. I don't know, man. Houston, I'm seeing a lot of Houston love in the chat.
What do we do with them? That's your team.
It's a tough one, man.
I'm not sure. I think I'm out because I only have so many teams.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like, they're just not swinging the ball, swinging the bat very consistently to start the year. Guys are in and out of the lineup. Jordan's coming back tonight, but he also thought he broke his hand the other day. So who knows how injured he really is? I still don't think it's a full lineup tonight. So it's tough. It's tough for me to get behind it, but you never know. This could be like the Mets have a good offense, so this may be a shootout type of game. I don't know.
You mentioned the Pittsburgh prices, and it would be a fun night to double down on a guy like Garrett Cole and another elite starting pitcher, and just get those Pirates. They're so cheap. Dollar for dollar, price per pound. Nobody's cheaper than Daniel Vogelbach, 2.5K. Do you see a question there in chat, Jason? No, I wasn't piling on, Jason. Just so you know, you're welcome to throw out. And who knows? The Padres might score 15 runs. That wasn't a pile on. That was just I didn't see it. We didn't see it, but again, baseball goofy stuff happens. Hopefully that you didn't take it personal. And then Keith, we're just seeing a bunch of teams being thrown out there, which kind of speaks to the slate. Like producer Devin likes Toronto and St. Louis. Like nobody's playing Toronto, because who wants to pick on Cease? But for sure they can hit 4 home runs in that ballpark today. Wouldn't surprise me. Washington it's just a tough team to roster. But nice ballpark there against Jordan Lyles. The other side of that game, Eric Fetty's pretty terrible too. I know that they moved it back and raised the fences out there in left field, but for a lefty like Mullins, don't really mind that. For Soto, instead of going 15 different rows up in the air, it's up like 5 of the rows in the air. It's still out of the ballpark. It's just speak to the slate being loaded. Yeah, there's Cookerwood talking about Nats and the O's, and there's just a lot. There's a lot to like, and I'm not making enough lineups where I can like everything. I got to whittle stuff down, and oh man, and is ownership a thing as far as hitting? Is there going to be a team that's going to be heavily condensed? Maybe like a Devers or something like that, like an individual player. What are we seeing as far as ownership?
Yeah, I mean, I think Boston and St. Louis were tracking to be the highest owned, but without Goldie in there, I think people are going to sour on St. Louis a little bit. Maybe not. Still a great matchup. It's looking really more just like individual stuff to me as I'm just scanning through ownership here. Don't see anybody that's really jumping off the page as way over owned or anything.
Angels lineup just came out. Ward, Trout, Ohtani, Walsh, Rengifo, Stassi, Duffy, Marsh, Velasquez. We know the story about the Angels. First half, very, very good. Back half, not so much. I think we kind of mentioned them in passing. You got to take, Keith, as far as the Angels. Where are they on the board for you?
Yeah, they're pretty high up the list. Heasley is not good. Obviously, Trout and Ohtani. Ward's had a great season. Walsh is cheap. I think it's pretty easy to make a stack there.
All right, let's go around the horn, give our favorite plays position by position. Just trying to see whose projection was removed. Cavan Biggio, Seth Brown not playing tonight, and Matt Davidson did not crack the lineup either. Pinder or Tapia, last man in for Fanduel, Mark's asking. Oof. I mean, Keith, I think Pinder's facing a lefty, which is something.
I would probably lean to Pinder there. Just I'm not looking to attack Cease. Give me Pinder.
Yeah. All right. Let's go around the horn and give our favorite plays position by position. Let's start at catcher. Chop. Obviously you're focusing mostly on Fanduel. You don't have the roster one there. I do like Sanchez at like 2.5K. I talked about like in Minnesota facing Savali, reverse splits pitcher. With the ballpark is conducive to homers today, and he's actually super cheap over there as well. You got to spend up a little bit on DK as far as catchers. Chop, your favorite catchers tonight?
Yeah, I would say I'd start off with Salvador Perez going against the lefty. He's one of the better ones out there. So Perez, he's pretty affordable too. Gary Sanchez is cheap on FanDuel if you want to go that route against Savali. We've talked about how poor Savali can be at times. You're right. I didn't see a pure punt on DraftKings. I think Adley Rutschman against Fetty is about, as cheap as, cheap kind of a guy. He's only 2,400 on FanDuel, but, obviously catcher isn't a big high priority over there. But Rutschman, I don't really see a pure punt.
Yeah, who is it? I'm trying to see. I mean, Vasquez at 3.3 on a Boston stack, I guess.
I mean, the cheap, I don't love the matchup at all, but the cheapest that's in a reasonably good spot in the batting order that has some up, Carson Kelly. Kelly at Haas has got a really tough matchup, doesn't he? So
Rich Hill's like 97 years old. We've established that in the show.
Okay, I was, but Carson Kelly batting sixth against Sean Manaea, 2,600 is really cheap. So, but I mean, I don't. Tonight might not be the night to punt catcher. That's all.
You have catchers. Well, okay. I know, Keith, you're playing on DK a lot. Are you trying to spend up on a Perez or trying to spend up on a Sanchez or a Contreras? Contreras against Contreras, by the way, matchup. There you go. Narrative Street. Or are we? I mean, yeah, the punts are rough on DK. Betancourt is at least batting cleanup against Gonzalez, who's probably going to hit the ball against him. Haas is batting cleanup again and just hit the monster, which isn't that hard necessarily. It's not great though. Not great punts.
No, not great. I do like spending up. Sal Perez is somebody I'm going to have a lot of. I like Travis d'Arnaud as well for Atlanta. Wilson Contreras, I'm playing more Roansy Contreras on the other side, but I will have some one-offs. Good power there for Contreras. Warm weather in Pittsburgh today. Real Muto, I'm probably going to have, I've been trying to find the Martin Perez blow up. He finally did give up some runs against the White Sox a couple of times ago. But I think Real Muto is a pretty good option. Some of the cheaper stuff, I do like Haas. Higashioka is cheap for the Yankees. Kisner for the Cardinals is probably my favorite. He's minimum price, not a great hitter, but just that matchup against Chi-Chi, I think, puts him in play.
Yeah, I know Chop talks about trying to get that Martin Perez game. Like, and people have been chasing that one for years, but like he's a big ground ball guy. His fly balls are 31% this season. He does a really good job of suppressing homers. I'm sure there's some luck in there. A 2.7% homer on the fly ball is 0.22 homers per 9 this season. And again, Harper's out of that Philadelphia lineup as well too. So I'm not here to say you can't play, guys like Hoskins or whatever. You can stack Philadelphia, of course, and especially if you get to that pen and you're on the road, you're locked in for 9 and things get goofy. You have a good time in the back end of that game. Chop, your thoughts as far as Real Muto? Have you given up the dream of stacking against Martin Perez? Is it over?
No, I think you can still stack against me. Maybe he'll blow up every once in a while. But the problem with Real Muto is he's just been terrible this year. So how much do you really want to go that route? I mean, I get it, though. And when we get to some other positions, I'll definitely talk about some Philadelphia players I like. But, yeah, I mean, it's fine. I guess he's fine. He's due. He's due. They say regression and that if the guys will typically end up at the end of the year, around their average. So if that's the case, then this guy's going to have one hell of a second half of the year.
Just see a question in chat. Donnie's asking, I'll ask you, Keith, how viable do we think Atlanta is against Disco Stu? The pitcher today for Cincinnati. No, not Cincinnati. He used to pitch for Cincinnati. He's now on San Francisco. Anthony DeSclafani. And it's going to be hot in Atlanta, 93 degrees, wind blowing out. And he's talking about Atlanta being relatively unowned. And I think Acuna is behind Buxton, and he's behind Trout, and he's behind Ohtani. And he might even be behind Soto as far as the ownership for the big boy outfielders. And then Riley is going to be behind Devers, without question. So just thoughts as far as Atlanta, because they're going to be lost on this slate, and they probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, I agree. They're one of my favorite stacks on the slate. They're in my top 5 for sure. I think just looking, maybe they're 4th at worst, and right there with the Angels. So yeah, they're very much in the conversation for me. Like them a lot today.
Chop, I think somebody dropped a nickname that you might have given in the chat. I'm trying to find the person. Yeah, you see Trey Preston in chat, Chopper. Is that a nickname that you coined? I don't know if you can sort of scroll fast enough to see who I'm talking about. Just scroll up a little bit. And I think we're talking about a first baseman. We're going to talk about first base in a second. You like to make up nicknames. You're known for that.
I don't make them up. I Google them. They're already there. I don't, Dean, this is like trying to find a needle in a haystack here.
Trey's talking about Big Meat Pete. Are you aware of Big Meat Pete?
Big Meat Pete?
I believe he's also a polar bear.
That's a pretty awesome nickname, man. We'll
Speaking of players,
that's so much better than polar bear. So much better than polar bear.
I like polar bear. I don't want to face a polar bear. That sounds intimidating.
Props to Trey, man. That's a good one.
Well, I don't know if that's an original from Trey or if that's a Kirk D's influence. I have no idea where that came from, but I'm just here to read comments in chat. But how about just first base in general, Chop? First base, it is loaded. If you look at the consensus rankings, I like a whole bunch of them at first base. We talked about all the girth of Daniel Vogelbach. He's super, super cheap. Got to cross Goldie off the board. Matt Olson, I was digging into him earlier today. He's been struggling on the surface, but he's still hitting the ball hard, and he's 3-1 on FanDuel. 3-1 for Matt Olson. This is a guy supposedly was going to hit 45 homers in Atlanta, and he still might. We'll see. Walsh is pretty cheap. You can always play Vladdy. You can always play Alonso. Josh Bell, nice ballpark there against Baltimore. It's a pretty loaded position at first base. What is your take? What are your thoughts? Who's popping out for you?
Yeah, it's a big position, so I'm not gonna name them all. But I'd say we talked about Philly a minute ago. Rhys Hoskins, if Perez were to slip up, so these are the types of guys that would get him. Rhys Hoskins. So behind that one, Matt Olson. I know, I get it. But it's a big team total. At some point, he's going to snap out of what he's doing, and he's going to be good. And there's a ton of other guys, but the one guy I did want to mention that I think is my sleeper tonight. Nobody's on him. Ty France for Seattle.
BVP?
No, it's something that's in the same ballpark. Some people will say this is all garbage and it doesn't matter, but pitch type stuff. He's taking on James Kaprielian, and Kaprielian, like when we start to look at who throws a lot of a certain type of pitch on the slate, he throws a lot of four-seam fastballs, one of the highest usage rates on the slate, if you would. Well, four-seam fastball. The thing about his is it's not very good. It's mediocre at best. And if I'm starting to look, so how can I pick on that? And I start look at Seattle players who are really good against four-seamers. I know there's a lot of noise in there, but, Ty France is right up there at the top of the list. So is Julio Rodriguez. He's really young, though, not a huge sample. But Ty France is up there. So, I could use that and maybe put him in my player pool a little bit extra and roll with that.
Yeah, I like Seattle. I hate that ballpark. Kaprielian has been really bad this year, giving up a lot of homers as well too. I think it's over 2 per 9. Yeah, 2.18 homers per 9 this year. 16% homer to fly ball. Fly balls this season 45%. Over 10% barrels as well. I don't know how to get there, but of course. And I like J-Rod as well. You got to take there, Keith, as far as France and all the other first basemen that are, jumping out for you.
I think that's a great point there from Chop. Kaprielian's fastball has been just awful. It's average velocity and he throws it straight. So I like that call from Chop a lot.
How about yourself? Did you already give your first baseman? I thought you didn't.
I did not. Yeah. So Angels guys, I love here. Walsh is too cheap. I mentioned. Obviously, you're playing Ohtani in the outfield in an Angel stack, but I think they're two guys that you want. Love Alonso, good call there. Josh Bell against Lyles. This Washington-Baltimore game, I'm on board with as well. Just not very strong pitching staffs. Good weather, like both of those teams. Vogelbach too cheap. You mentioned the Baltimore guys, Mancini and Mountcastle, are both underpriced as well, and not scared of Fetty. So. Definitely going to have some exposure there.
Keith, they're both 2.5 on Fanduel. You like Gary Sanchez or you like Vogelbach, the CEO of Team Girth?
I prefer Sanchez.
Olsen's 3.1 and Walsh is 3 on Fanduel. Who do you prefer?
Oh, I love both of them.
Yeah,
give me Olsen first, but it's really close. Both great.
Victor, I see you in chats. Let's go ahead and knock this one out. I know Roth likes to ask us a lot in the crunch time. Chop, you only got one team. You're not, you're playing in a single entry contest. You can only have one stack tonight. Or I know sometimes you don't even necessarily like this double stack. That's not necessarily your thing. What is the strategy? What's the one team you're all in on tonight? If you can just pick one.
To stack?
Sure. Yeah. However you want to do it. Like your favorite team. If
if I just had one and I had to needed to forget about ownership and all the other stuff, it would be Boston. I would think has the greatest chance at raw runs. But I think Victor said if you had to pick one team to win tonight, guaranteed, like he's in like a survivor, MLB survivor pool or something. Who would it be?
That's not a thing.
It might be.
Survivor. First of all,
guys are doing best ball drafts in June. It's a thing. Everything's
I'd like
a
to
thing
participate
these
in
days.
that. That sounds like fun, to be honest.
Yeah,
but that's not what he's asking, I don't think.
Okay, I misread it then. But if you're asking me raw, like safest thing, Boston, off the radar for me, factoring in the ownership and everything. I think we just talked about him, Seattle.
Yeah, and nobody's playing Seattle. Just nobody. Like we're talking like 2-3%, right, on these guys. Like that's just the way it's gonna go.
Yeah, that's why I said ownership factored in.
Yeah, same question for you, Keith. I'll read Victor's question. You can interpret it however you like. If you had to pick one team to win tonight, guaranteed. Well, maybe that is what he's asking. I don't know what Victor's asking. Now that Chop puts that in my head, one team to win tonight, because there's no guaranteed winning stack. There's no guaranteed winner anyway. It's baseball. Anybody can be anybody, right? We saw like the worst team in baseball can win 3 out of 5 versus the best team. But if you had to pick one team to win tonight, guaranteed, who would it be, Keith? Interpret that however you'd like.
Well, for the stacks, I think St. Louis is where I would look to first. Goldie not being in there takes their best hitter away, but it's still a very affordable stack. I think it allows you to pay up for some pitching if you get some cheap bats in there like Yepez and Carlson. So I'd go to St. Louis first. If you need to go a little more off the board and want to play chalkier pitching or something, Atlanta would be the team I look to.
Keith, you like Grossman Baez as a mini stack. Grossman's leading off today for Detroit and in Fenway. Baez is batting second. He got moved up in the lineup. 1-2, Grossman, Baez, punch. Any interest?
Yeah, it's fine. Not one of my favorite spots. Like, yeah, I mean, Rich Hill can give up some home runs, so yeah, that's fine.
The rookie Riley Green got moved up a little bit in the lineup as well. He's batting fifth. Mouthwash Jonathan Scopes down to the 8th spot. I'm trying to see what Hill's just got like an average split, right? Lefty, righty. I think he's just an average split. Just thinking left on left, but Green is more of that's pretty ambitious. There's plenty of power in that bat. We've seen in the, top prospect in baseball, but I don't know if this is the best spot. And also lefty power is not amazing in Fenway unless you absolutely pull the ball, obviously. All right, let's jump to second base, Keith. Who do you prefer? Who's jumping out for you? I found it really, really easy to get Trevor Story on Fanduel, and I felt like that was a problem because I think he's going to be too popular. And then I'm going to try to get away from him. And he's like at home batting 6th, and unless Boston's really smashing, he probably only gets 4 at-bats, especially if they win. Whatever. I don't know what to do at second. Help me out.
Yeah, I like Story a good amount. He's not as owned on DraftKings, so I will have some of that in my Boston stacks. Altuve is the one that we currently have kind of projecting for quite a bit of ownership on DK. We'll end up underweight there. Houston's fine, but Trevor Williams has been actually fairly decent this season. I won't have a ton of Houston, so I'm probably going to end up underweight on Altuve. It's the Cardinals guys for me that stand out. Gorman at 3.9 in a great spot, and Donovan is 3.7 hitting second. So you can play him at third as well. So the Cardinals guys are going to be my first look.
Steven Chapo, not to cut you off, he's saying the roof allegedly is going to be open in Milwaukee, and it's 90 degrees there. So, and it's a good ballpark as is, right? And obviously they're facing Chichi Gonzalez, who's out of the 26 pitchers today. He's at least on the reverse podium. He's in the bottom 3, right? I think. Yes,
absolutely. I mean, that pretty clearly becomes my favorite spot of the night now because of that.
Yeah, I want to confirm that. Not that I don't trust Steve, but I believe, that moves the needle a little bit.
And the needle was already way up there.
Say it again?
And the needle was already way up there on St. Louis for me. So, yeah, I mean, that pushes them clearly to the top for me.
I feel like I cut you off. You had some more second baseman?
Just a couple of more. You mentioned the price on Cronenworth. So I'm not playing him against Gallen. Torres has a nice price. I don't like the full stack of the Yankees, as I mentioned, because of the bullpen game. But I do like Torres in a mini stacker as a one-off. It kind of thins out quite a bit after that, though. Let's see. Marcus Semien is fine as a one-off. Odor is a one-off. I do like Baltimore a little bit as a stack, too. So Odor would be fine.
Are we worried about Gorman getting pinch hit for with the lefties in the Milwaukee bullpen, right? Hader, I believe, is a lefty. How many lefties do they have in that pen? Hader, Milner, and Suter. Okay. I'm only seeing like 7 lefties in that bullpen. That's just weird. Is that all it is in Milwaukee? That seems like they're probably missing somebody. But okay. Is that a possibility? I would say this, Keith, at some point, if this game situation calls for it, like Goldie will pinch hit if it makes sense at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think he gets an at-bat here at some point. I don't know that it's going to be for Gorman. I'm looking up Gorman's splits right now just to see what he's done against lefties here. Gorman has actually hit lefties really well. I mean, I know it's a very small sample size, but he's been good so far this season against them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could look at the bat and see what the bat has as far as projected pinch hit ability there, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can do that while Chop covers some other second baseman.
Chop, second baseman, what do you got?
Second baseman. So I would say that in reference to the Gorman thing, like if the game's, as far as a stack is concerned, if the game's close enough to where they have to bring in their leverage left-handers, you probably didn't hit your stack anyway. So I wouldn't worry about that so much. But the other guys, Altuve, we said that. Gleyber Torres, I'm glad he brought that up. Really, really low ownership. I know Tampa Bay bullpen game, but Torres just keeps on producing this year. I give him credit. So got a Brendan Donovan, St. Louis. I like that call. And I would throw in Whit Merrifield against the left-hander. I'm not, Detmers has been kind of hit or miss. So those are the guys I want. We're going to get a lot of ownership on Michael Chavis because he's moved up in the order to here tonight. So I don't know. I like him within the stack, but I'm just not – I don't like the ownership, though. So but I do like little Merrifield, Altuve, Donovan, and Torres.
Yeah, nice price on Merrifield. You talk about the cheapies there, not just Chavis, but Odor is going to be way more off the radar, but he's also a guy that theoretically has got some power. He's also a lefty, so that new ballpark dimensions don't hurt him nearly as much in Baltimore either. Not something I'm thrilled to get, but if I'm going to have a one-off power upside, or if I'm stacking Baltimore, I don't mind a little bit of Odor if it kind of makes everything else work for me. Let's jump to third, Chop. Kind of mentioned Devers. He's 4-2 on FanDuel. He's pricey on DK, but again, not that hard to get. He's going to be more well-owned than J-Ram, as far as I can tell. Jose Ramirez in Minnesota. Great weather there in Minnesota. Facing Ryan, who I don't think it's necessarily somebody you want to pick on. I'm not really sure what Ryan is. We're still kind of figuring that out. He's shown good moments for sure at times. He's dealing with a thumb. I assume he's fine because he's in the lineup. Chop, third base. What do you have for me?
Yeah, so Devers is the clear-cut number one option here, in my opinion, and you're going to pay for him with ownership and with price tag. And then after that, in no particular order, I like Ke'Bryan Hayes, pretty good, reasonable price tag. I like the matchup. Nolan Arenado.
Sure.
I don't know what do we currently have him for in ownership, because seems egregiously too low last time I looked.
It's 3% on FanDuel, and I think that's a tick wrong.
I mean, maybe because you got to choose between Devers and Jose Ramirez is going to be popular. Michael Chavis, I mentioned, has third base eligibility, so yeah, it may not be very very much higher than that. But Arenado, awesome play.
It might be 8, which is basically kind of the same.
Yeah, Bobby Witt in that Kansas City is a pretty sneaky stack. If they can get to Detmers, they'll be all right. And Austin Riley, I don't mind Austin Riley.
Would you play him as a one-off or as kind of an Atlanta stack? Or
I'm more likely to like the one-offs from Atlanta tonight as opposed to the whole stack. But I mean, obviously, they'll be in my stack pool.
There's a person named Jonah Bride who's 2K on DK, who's batting second versus Marco Gonzalez. I don't know much about Jonah Bride. Can he hit baseballs? You know anything about him, Keith?
I don't think he's much of a prospect.
I don't think he is either.
I don't know much.
Yeah, as a flat-out punt, and there is an opportunity cost here, obviously, because right at the top, Devers and Ramirez, and then, Hayes leading off versus Swarmer's a pretty cheap price. Arenado we talked about. We have Arenado at 3% on DK as well.
I think that's kind of correct on Arenado on DK, because you have the weird situation of Gorman at second and Donovan at second, third, and Arenado at third. So you have to pick 2 out of those 3 guys. Arenado is clearly the best, but also the most expensive. So even in St. Louis stacks, that's going to get a little bit there's a decision point there. So even if you want to play St. Louis, you may not necessarily be playing Arenado if you need to save the money. So I think he comes in pretty low owned. Absolutely love the call.
Did you see the Gorman, chance of pinch hit? I know you were looking at it before. What was it?
It's at 19%. So that's pretty significant. If you're concerned about that, just play Donovan and Arenado. But like Chop said, if you're worried about late inning bullpen, that means that it's a close game. And unless it's like an 8-9 game, your stack probably didn't get there if we're worried about late inning pinch hit risk.
Jonah Bride, 26 years old, 27th ranked prospect in the Oakland organization, 23rd round pick in 2018. Let's see, what's he doing this year? 80 at bats. Let's see, 60. Not a lot of power, not a lot of speed. He did have 10 homers and A-ball in 2019, but yeah, I mean, look, he's professionally trained in theory, and he'll be holding a piece of wood, but don't get too excited about Jonah. As Curtis called him in chat, Jonah Bird, apparently. Shout out to Chop's favorite show. Maybe. I don't know. Is it? Maybe. Possibly. Anything else here at third, or shall we jump to shortstop and talk about O'Neal Cruz? I mean, come on. He's 2K. What are we doing here, Keith? He's also outfield eligible on DK, which is nice. That gives you some versatility.
Yeah, minimum price, very, very loud tools. Did you see he had, I think, the fastest recorded throw across the infield and the highest sprint speed in the same game? So we talk about tools. It's as toolsy as it gets right here. This is a super talented young guy.
Yeah, he had that kind of that crow hop, I guess, at shortstop. And he's also the tallest shortstop, I believe, ever at 6'7". Maybe he gets moved from there. Who knows? But like the bullet he threw to first base was just insanity. I can't wait for the first like Pirate blowout. Throw this guy in the mound. They're not going to do that. They wouldn't let him do that. I wouldn't think, but it'd be kind of fun to see him just throw like 95 or whatever. Well, I don't know. He threw 97, but he had like a crow hop, so maybe that gives him a few extra miles per hour. But yeah, I mean, that's, it's staring right at us. 2K on Fanduel, 2K on DK, a clear and obvious salary saver if you want it. How much do you want of Cruz? We're looking at 20% ownership in tournaments on DK. What do you think, Keith? You're going to be there? You're going to be above that or what?
I don't think I'm going to be able to get above it. I'm not playing a ton of Pittsburgh stacks, and I generally try to run 5-3. And on most teams, I'm fine if I end up with 2 as my secondary or even 3 one-offs. But 20% on guys are not really who I'm looking to play as one-offs. So I'll probably end up under the field. As awesome as he is, as fun as he's going to be to watch, I probably end up under just in tournaments because of the ownership.
So where are you going to be over? You're going to be over on Correa with those reverse splits for Savali. I believe Brisky has shown reverse splits, and Fenway against the righty and Bogarts. Those are probably my 2 favorite. And then, of course, if I'm listening to you, you're probably like some Tommy Edman as well, leading off for St. Louis. Yeah,
definitely. Edman for the Cardinals. Love Correa as well. Bobby Witt against the lefty. Going to have plenty of him. Dansby Swanson's going to be a guy I'm well over the field on. Going to end up with some Lindor for sure. CJ Abrams for San Diego. I'm not stacking San Diego at all, but as a pivot off of Cruz, I don't mind that.
The ownership difference between those two must be incredible, and it's just I mean, and Abrams is legit also, but he's right. Kind of buried in the 8 hole. But 8 and 6 is they probably maybe get 4 at bats, possibly 3. We'll see, depending on. But if you want to make that decision, I get it. Because the difference in ownership is probably like 10 times, 15 times. And sure, if you sim it out, obviously Abrams is not going to get outscored that many times versus no matter how good those tools are on Cruz. Chop, what are you doing here as far as shortstop?
Shortstop. I would say, Carlos Correa. I mean, kind of named most of them. Corey Seager is interesting against Kyle Gibson. O'Neal Cruz, I can't get away from that too much. I won't be over the field, but that price tag will keep me at field level probably. And then Alexander Bogarts, that's about. You guys covered most of the heavy lifting here at this position. You're just looking for a home run. We talked about him a little bit, but Javier Baez, if you just want a shot at a home run,
sure.
Rich Hill hangs a curveball. He could launch it, although he's more likely to miss it by 4 feet. But
does he just say before the pitch, "All right, I'm going to swing at this one," and that's that? Like that's it?
Yeah, that's exactly what he does. But when he guesses right, he can hit a home run. So that's about it. Like it's not a super deep position to me, but I think because of Savali, I really like Carlos Correa. And I like Corey Seager as a one-off for Texas. I'm not necessarily in love with the whole stack, but I love that as a one-off. And, that's about Cruz we mentioned. That's it.
We got crunch time coming up in just a few minutes. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth telling you what's going on weather-wise. I don't think there's anything really precipitation, but a lot of heat, a lot of positive hitting environments. You get DerekCarty, CEO of the Bat. Carty's going to give you his takes tonight, as well as SquirrelPatrol. So Squirrel just dominates tournaments. They'll be on in about 4 or 5 minutes or so, give or take. If you guys are hanging out in the old YouTube, hit that like button. What else are you doing? What else are your hand? Just graze the like button, caress it, whatever you want to do. Turn that thumb up, hit the like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you know when we go live. Question here in chat from Mark. This is for you, Keith. Am I crazy for fading Boston completely? Detroit is one of the best bullpens in baseball. See if they get the Brisky. There's not that much upside. Well, I would also say the inverse. Like if you get to a bullpen, you're not going to see the best arms, right? They're not going to roll out their best guys. The score's 9-2 in the sixth. So that stuff can be like you can take it both ways. But is that crazy to just not play Boston? I mean, if you're playing 150, probably. If you're playing 10, no.
Yeah, that you nailed it right there at the end. Like if you're playing 150 lineups, yeah, I think it would be a little crazy to fade them completely. I don't think it's crazy to fade them even in 20 lineups. I mean, it's baseball. Anybody can fail in any spot. But the thing I would say is I don't think the ownership is too out of control on them. So like it's not like you're picking up passing 30% of the field or something just because you didn't play Boston and everybody else did. You don't gain that much. But if you don't like it, I mean, certainly don't think you're crazy.
Chop, knock out some outfielders for us. Trout and Ohtani, and they flopped last night. They're well positioned again tonight. Ward's really cheap on FanDuel as well. You can play all those Angels in the outfield. I believe Danny Glover and Tony Danza are also available in the player pool, 2K, give or take.
Who's the boss?
You know what team he played for and who's the boss? Come on, Chop, you know this. It was in the intro. St. Louis Cardinals.
St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah, you didn't give me. I had it on the tip of my tongue. I was about to.
Who do you like in the outfield, Chop?
Always a loaded stack position. Brian Reynolds is fine. I already mentioned a couple guys, Merrifield and some of the other guys. Jordan is interesting to me. I'm a little worried about the hand and the rust, but I think he's one of the premier hitters in the game. So if you don't want to stack Houston, he's the best one-off you can get. He's like their whole offense sometimes. Byron Buxton, expensive, but
awesome.
Savali, and he's an incredible hitter, man, one of the best in the game. Julio Rodriguez is going to be one of the best hitters in the game at some point, and he's having a good rookie year. I love this matchup for him. And I would just say that the people are asking, Dean, they want my BVP play of the day. And
yeah, who is it? Even bearing
it comes from the outfield. I was saving it for now. It's Nick Castellanos. Now, everything has to align. It can't just be all about the BVP, Dean. It's got to be about all the circumstances, and that's how I give the BVP play of the day. So there's Castellanos. The numbers against Martin Perez, good. I can live with it. But it's Castellanos against the lefty.
Like a 50 or 60 plate appearance sample, I assume?
It's Castellanos against the lefty, so he's already going to get my vote right there. Then you throw in those big 12 plate appearances, three games worth. I mean, I got to go with it. I got to roll with it. So
what else can you do?
Castellanos. It's a really thin BVP play today. Like there's not much going on out there, so he fits the bill. He's got it.
Keith, knock out some outfielders for us. Who's catching your eye again? 13 gamer, plethora of options. Who do you want to feature?
Yeah, I'm going to feature some Angels here for sure. Love Ohtani and Trout. Not big news there. I'd like Juan Soto as well. Don't mind him even as a one-off against Lyles. Great matchup. Love Buxton also. Cedric Mullins, great matchup against Fetty. Let's see here. Taylor Ward, another Angels guy. On board with Chop and the Julio Rodriguez call. Starling Marte for the Mets is somebody I like. Stanton without Judge in the lineup there. The Yankees ownership probably comes down. Really like Stanton. Mention Yepez for the Cardinals. At first, he's eligible in the outfield as well. Let's see here. Did Dylan Carlson crack the lineup if he was in there? I know he was really cheap. Yep, he's hitting 6th at 2,400. Absolutely love that one.
Chop, Patrick's got a question in chat, and I'm asking you because you like Seattle. And this is how it's really hard to play Seattle for me. But Buxton and Olsen, or you want France and J-Rod? Like, man, I love Buxton and Olsen today.
I mean, like one lineup. If you're just doing one lineup, and it's a smaller field, a cash game, and I want some, I typically in the smaller the field, the more I lean towards who's the best player in the conversation that you're asking me, the 2v2 or 3. Who's the best player? The best player is Buxton. So a smaller field in this case would be the Buxton side, but the larger the field climbs up, the more people you got to beat. France and J-Rod for me.
By the way, free premium is going to be on the line soon. I'm going to be taking people on. It's in the works. It's coming out probably maybe end of the week. We'll see. In my own personal Discord channel, it's going to be the Beat Mean Dean contest. Only because it fits the rhyme scheme. It's not because I'm mean, right, Chop? You can vouch for this. We talk behind the scenes sometimes.
That was dangerously close to being something else, Dean.
Pete Alonso's nickname?
We almost had a contest there, Beat Dean's Meat or something like that. That would have been awful. Watch yourself, Dean.
Dean, you did say earlier, you were like, hit that like button. What else are you doing with your hands? But as you're about to say it, you stopped right at the last second, and I was proud of you.
I am constantly editing myself as the show. It's like, nope, shouldn't say that one. Nope, let's let that one go. Every once in a while, the goalie just kind of lets them go. It's like, let's pull that one in every once in a while. Keep things interesting. Welcome back, Roth. Missed you yesterday. Question for you. This is Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. You guys know who he is. Why am I getting 0 historical games for Minnesota and Chicago today, according to Weather Edge? What is going on there? We've never seen this.
Yeah, there's this incredible heat ridge. Like, I don't want to get too technical and weathery, but basically it's 100 degrees in Chicago. It's 90s in Minnesota. Like, that doesn't happen all that often. And so trying to pair that up with also games that have similar humidity and have similar winds, there's just not enough games to find that are like that. So a few people asked me, like, is this a bug? Is it broken? Like, no, it's just, this is unprecedented heat that we're dealing with. So you don't have games to pull from.
I got a question for Roth on that subject. So
yeah,
you say that, and then we're down here in Texas catching this heat wave like never before. What's happening, man? Is this global warming? Is this what's causing it?
You're really going to put me on the spot with the global warming question?
Can you solve
it's a very controversial issue. Yeah.
Well, why is it so hot, man, all over the country?
There's a heat ridge, like the entire Central Plains, like from Texas all the way up to Minnesota is just getting crushed, and it's going to stay that way. Like, Chop, if you think it's hot this week, wait until like this weekend. Like, it's about, you're about to get baked. So get ready.
And it's going to be
when I say you're about to get baked, I mean
you don't mean the good way.
Yeah, right. I mean by the sun, not the other way.
Yeah. So Roth, you're saying that dumb it down for dopes like me. Minnesota and Chicago bats are good, right?
Yes, right. They're fantastic. I really like both spots with that heat. We just, Weather Edge is built on pulling actual data from real past games. And there is no actual data on similar weather games. So there's nothing to pull from, but it's good hitting weather because it's hot.
Yeah. First day of summer, I saw, Cheese mentioned that. And like, there's fire emojis all around, even a fire emoji in Oakland. We never see that. I feel like we never see that.
Right. Yeah. 88 degrees there. And to be clear, also in Chicago, winds blowing out to left at 15. And in Minnesota, winds blowing out to dead center at 15. So like, those are excellent hitting conditions.
Well, we should probably step aside. You got a big boy Slate. You got DerekCarty. You got SquirrelPatrol. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Head Chopper, Keith as well. Check out Keith's article for Scores and Odds. We'll go ahead and drop that in the chat for people. Do it that like button for hit it for Roth. Hit it for them, not for us. Let's knock that out. Let's get over 100. I don't know where we're at. Probably below 100. Let's smash the over. Sure, why not? Roth, take it over. The Fanduel sponsor. Front time.
Dean, don't leave.
Oh.
Good. I'm glad everybody else leaves. Hey, I just want to let you know the mustache is coming in, man. It's starting to I made fun of you a week ago, but it's coming in now.
It's a work in progress. You gotta. I'm playing the long game over here.
Right. No, it's coming in. It's looking good. I still don't understand why your hair is so dark.
I don't know either.
I'm wondering, are you bleaching the mustache, Dean? Because that's the only thing I can come up with.
Say it again.
Are you bleaching your mustache?
No, this is all natural. There's no juices. There's no berries. There's nothing funky going on over here. This is just the way it grows. I mean, take it up with my parents. Genetics. I don't know.
Did you expect it? Were you surprised when you started growing the mustache and it came in and your hair is very dark? Like there's no
there's a little bit of gray in there. There's
sure, on the side a little, but that's everybody.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not really sure why that's just how it is. But you know what, Roth? We might have a swerve coming soon if you're looking at the video.
Oh,
we did make a purchase for funsies.
Amazing.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Okay, well, that's exciting, and that's a wonderful tease. You always say you want to go out on a high note, and the Just for Men Beard Brownser is a good one. So
unofficial sponsor of the show. Hey, Roth, one more thing. I'm going to step aside and get out of here, but can you take a peek at Milwaukee? Because allegedly I'm told that the roof is open there. And I think it's also 90 in Milwaukee today.
Yeah, I mean, it is hot. So, yes, I will do that. And, Dean, you can peace out, and I'll introduce everybody else. Thank you, as always, Dean. Best host in the biz. Did he leave? Hang on. Wait, I don't have it up. I gotta switch back. All right, he's out. Perfect timing. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome. This is it. This is FanDuel. This is Crunch Time, sponsored by FanDuel. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz right now. One, Mr. DerekCarty, CEO of the Bat and the BatX Enterprises. What up, Carty?
Not much. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'll be honest. I'm a little drunk. I haven't had a drunk show in like 2 years. And today I was like, yeah,
what's the occasion?
I went on vacation with my kids, and I immediately realized that is not at all a vacation. So now we're back today, and so now is my vacation. I was like,
there you go.
Yeah. So that's the plan. I may or may not literally have a cooler sitting next to me. And by may or may not, I mean like, look.
So are you going to be like pulling out beers in the middle of the show?
Yeah, there's literally a cooler, and like there's a bottle opener and a cooler sitting next to me. So that's the game plan for the show. I'm going to get drunk, and you guys, there's no weather issues, to be clear. I wouldn't do this if there were weather issues. So that's my game plan. Squirrel, you cool with that?
Yeah, no, that's good. I usually have a beer, but not today. So because it's
not an entire, not an entire cooler.
Yes.
Seems a bit much. Squirrel, how are you feeling about the slate, man? How you doing?
Good. Yeah, we missed you yesterday, and I was wondering, like, did you take off because there was no weather issues? You were like, oh, it's like there's no weather to be concerned about, so I'm just not even gonna like do crunch time.
Yeah, no, I wish I just actually, if I could take off days, it would be the ones where there's a lot of weather issues.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I was on the aforementioned vacation with 2 kids, like 2 or younger, and turns out that is not relaxing. I don't recommend it. You shouldn't do it. So yeah, now today is my vacation, and today we're breaking down all the slate and everything that the people need to know. Carty, you want to start with like a general outlook here?
Yeah. So I mean,
hang on, wait. Someone says, "Can Roth chug a beer faster than Grant?" And the answer is Grant could literally chug 3 beers faster than I can chug one, and I don't think that's a lie. Like,
yeah, I've seen Grant chug in person, and it's like he inhales the beer. Like it's like.
It is otherworldly. It's the greatest skill in the universe. Like I've never seen anything like it. So no, absolutely cannot.
I want to know if you have a bottle of liquor nearby, and we'll do a shot for us.
You could talk me into shot o'clock.
Going down.
Yeah, you can talk me into it. I'm pretty easily convinced in my current state. Carty, talk about this slate. Just in general, like a macro outlook. I'm going to drink some beer.
Yeah, so we have a massive slate tonight. It's like 13 games, I think. And there's a lot to like. I think for cash games, the good stuff is fairly obvious, but it's not like that good stuff is like so much better than everything else. In GPPs, there's like lots of ways to play really good things and be different. So that's often the case on these huge slates. I don't think we're going to see massive chalk on any one team necessarily, but there's going to be lots of teams that are not owned that are just really, really good teams today.
Okay, I guess dive into it. And by the way, a rule for this show, no agreeing. You are not allowed to agree. At every position you have to have like a counterpoint. Is that fair?
Sure.
All right.
You said it's a huge slate. There's a ton of different options. So I'm just saying you can't both be like, yeah, that's the dude. Like, I'm not allowing it. All right. Carty, talk about pitchers.
So I'm glad I get to go first because the top 2 pitchers on the slate are Sean Manaea and Nestor Cortez. They're kind of like a tier to themselves at the top.
Cortez doesn't even have any rainbow things next to his name. I'm seeing it right here.
Who doesn't have any?
Cortez. He doesn't have any little rainbow things.
I mean, that's odd to me. I don't know why not one person picked him because he's the second best play on the slate, right after Manaea. He's against the Tampa Bay Rays, who are like an average offense at best these days. Manny Margot's hurt now. He's getting a big park upgrade going into Tropicana. the roof is closed there because it's a dome and because everywhere else is like 80 or 90 or 95 degrees. It's one of the best, pitching weather spots on the slate. And Nestor Cortez is really, really good. So yeah, he's really good. And Sean Manaea is really good at home against, a below average Diamondbacks lineup. And so, yeah, they're the two best on the slate. In GPPs, I do think there's ways to get different. Oh, on FanDuel, I think you play Manaea. He's cheaper than Cortez. He projects better straight up. Easy call there. On DraftKings, I think you pair them. And then in GPPs, you find ways to get different. Like there are guys that are pretty good on this slate, guys like Strider, guys like Gallen. They'll pick up some ownership, but there's a few guys that project pretty well and for like no ownership. So like Martin Perez and both guys in the Toronto White Sox game, like, yeah, it's really good hitting weather. It's the best home run park in baseball. But Gausman and Cease are both elite pitchers and they're both projecting for like no one to own them. So I like them in GPPs.
Okay. Squirrel, I'm so confused. Help me out. Why is it that Contreras, I got to squint. It's very tiny. Contreras has 4 little dots of people saying you should play this guy. And I don't even think Carty mentioned him.
Yeah.
Because he's a young, hot prospect and people love that kind of thing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's Carty's like anti-young guy narrative coming again. Remember when he was said Acuna's young. He's not good. He's young.
Yeah. So yeah, Roansy Contreras, he's just cheaper too. I think that's part of the issue. Is I think people are looking at the salaries, and I do think if we can't agree on players, we can maybe agree on strategy. And I think Carty had a good point. There's a lot of guys that are just projected around the same level, but there's a couple guys that are projected a little bit higher. They'll probably be the cash game plays, but I think the ownership on them will be too high. So I think the ownership on Sean Manaea is going to be too high. So I'm probably going to try to be a little bit under the field on him in tournaments. Actually, Nestor Cortez is good. He's in Tampa. That's a big ballpark upgrade for him. I'm going to be targeting the high strikeout guys, which Dylan Cease, Spencer Strider, either of those guys could also get completely blown up too. So I'll probably have stacks against both of those guys as well.
Okay, I was fully in on Spencer Strider. Should I not be? Because I thought this dude, I don't know, did he go out and just throw a gem last game or something? Why do I love him so much?
He was really, really good last game. He threw 11 strikeouts. He had easily surpassed his career high for pitches. He's always had kind of a short leash. He'd thrown over 90 very few times in his career, and he threw 111 pitches or something last start.
Does that excite you?
It does. I want to do it more than once, but it's if they're going to extend the leash on him, he is, almost an elite pitcher at this point, on a per inning basis. So if he's actually going to go deeper into games, he becomes very interesting.
Okay. And Squirrel, real quick, you didn't really go down the list. Is there anybody down there that you're interested in?
Yeah, probably Zach Gallen with Arizona. He's facing a weaker San Diego lineup. Martin Perez, facing the Phillies, and Bryce Harper's out of the lineup. Maybe Rich Hill. He's pitching for Boston against Detroit. The Detroit's just had a terrible offense so far this year. But he's only priced at 7,200. So he could put up as good a score as almost anybody else on the slate. And at only 7,200, and he's probably going to have somewhat low ownership. Then maybe Marco Gonzalez as well. He's facing just a terrible Oakland offense.
Okay. Carty, you in love with any of those plays? You hate him, you got to fight. You can't agree.
Marco Gonzalez sucks, Squirrel. Why would you even think about rostering him? You're the worst.
Yeah.
Do you actually feel that way?
He probably wouldn't be at the top of my pool because there's so many other guys that are going to be low owned, and he's a volume guy. He doesn't really have the stuff to get 12 strikeouts here the way some of these other guys would, but I don't think he's a terrible play now.
But on this slate, you're looking for big points. On this slate with 15 freaking games or whatever it is, you want.
Yeah, the thing is, once you get into the cheaper price range, you really don't have a lot of those guys. Rich Hill's matchup is really good. He's against Detroit. It's the only game under 70 degrees. So it's a good spot, but he always has a really short leash. So is the upside there for him? And maybe that's where the Contreras thing comes from, because he's a cheap guy who does have that upside, but also plenty of downside.
Okay.
Jose Urquidy is maybe the guy in that cheap price range that kind of has that upside between stuff and ability to go deeper into games.
Okay.
That isn't Contreras, who people are going to own.
Right. All right. I forgot that Dean asked me earlier to look into Milwaukee weather. I got to double check to make sure the roof is actually open because it's currently
the roof is always open in Milwaukee in the summer. They don't have air conditioning, so the roof is only for heat when it's cold.
Do they know that it's 99 degrees?
What are they going to do? Are you going to import air conditioning the day of?
I don't know. It just seems like a poor choice to not have air conditioning. It's literally, it's not an exaggeration right now. It's 99 degrees with 30-mile-per-hour winds. So I got to figure out what direction the winds are going.
For what it's worth, I have them blowing across the field.
Oh, that's so disappointing that you would say that. All right, Northwest. So I'll look that up. Although obviously I trust Carty. If I trust anyone for weather, it's Carty. So, but I'll double check that. In the meantime, let's talk about some stacks. Squirrel, you get to go first.
Sure. So I think the chalk is going to probably be the Angels. Got a high run implied run total. They were chalked last night as well, but they ended up like not really doing that well. Boston will also be really popular. I think Minnesota will also be really popular. But there's 26 teams, like pretty good weather. There's no outstanding pitchers that are definitely going to shut anybody down. So some of the teams I'm looking at are Atlanta, like really good power. They're facing a San Francisco pitcher that's just coming off the injured list, DeSclafani, Disco Stew. I like Baltimore as well. Pretty good weather in Baltimore for hitting. They're facing Eric Fetty. Again, nothing spectacular. I think Pittsburgh is a team I like particularly on DraftKings. They've got really good pricing, but I actually think the ownership is really going to creep up. So I'm not necessarily going to be playing like a ton of Pittsburgh stacks. I'll probably be at the field or under the field if I do 150 lineups. Then St. Louis and Milwaukee, there could be some weather, or good hitting weather there with an open roof. And two teams I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but they're good offenses with good power are Houston and Toronto. Like Toronto is facing Dylan Cease, who's got high strikeout upside. And I like playing Cease in case he does get 11 strikeouts. But Toronto could also just hit him around. So.
Okay. Carty, can't agree. Fight. I mean, you can agree on a few things, but tell him where he's a freaking idiot.
The problem is on this slate, there's not a lot of ways to be a freaking idiot. Like if you wanted to play Oakland maybe, or San Diego or Arizona, you're probably a freaking idiot, but Squirrel didn't mention any of those teams.
And to be clear, we have to say freaking because we're a sponsored show and we're on YouTube and we can get banned if we say anything else. Just to clear that up. Anyways, continue with why he's not a freaking idiot.
I mean, he's right that it's weird that Pittsburgh is going to be like chalk today, but they are the best combination, at least on DraftKings, of price and raw points because they're not just super cheap. They also project really well. They project as like the 5th best stack in terms of raw points in the bat, I think. So they're really good for cash games, but I'm kind of with Squirrel and GPPs. There's other ways to get different here. I love the Braves. The Braves are always underowned. They're the 2nd best offense in baseball, and people just never roster them the way they should, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I also love the Blue Jays, even against Dylan Cease, because the weather there is so good. It's such a good power park. They have so much power in the lineup, and Cease is easy to steal on. So if they're getting on base, which, weather also helps with that, it's a good stolen base spot. So there's just a lot of ways for the Jays to get there, a lot of ways for them to keep scoring runs and points. They actually project as the Bats' #1 raw point stack today, the Jays, which is crazy because they're really not going to be that owned. But Boston's really good. Kansas City is really good. The bat was all over Kansas City last night, and it's a very similar spot tonight where they're facing a pitcher that is very easy to steal on and who is not very good. And so I like Kansas City. The Brewers with that open roof, I think, is good. The Cardinals, it's just there's a lot to like on this slate, and there's a lot of things that there's 15 teams at least that you can play in GPPs and be able to do. There's not a lot of separation today.
Ugh. What's your very favorite? If you're playing one.
Toronto.
Okay. Squirrel, you're playing one. Single entry, you want to win. You're trying to win not $1 million and try to get stupid, but you're trying to win like 50 grand single entry. Who are you playing?
Atlanta.
Okay, excellent. Carty, to be clear, you loved Atlanta too.
No, Squirrel, you're so stupid. Atlanta is the second best staff. What are you thinking?
You're allowed to.
You're allowed
your
to favorite
in this
one.
case.
Like you're so dumb.
Yeah, you're allowed to. You said it. You're allowed to. Hey, by the way, I've got Winsbow and out to left at American Family Field for what it's worth. But wins will be getting a little weaker. Okay, hey, let's talk position by position. Carty, you get to start catcher position.
Yeah, so on DraftKings, where you're mostly going to roster a catcher, Wilson Contreras is like, he's like one of the absolute best hitters in baseball. And
it's 3.6.
Like not even.
Oh, that's FanDuel. I was looking at FanDuel.
And he's not even just one of the best catchers in baseball. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. And he's never even like the most expensive. He's like the third or fourth most expensive catcher on like every slate. And it's like, why are you doing this? Like, yeah, he's against Rosie Contreras today and he's in Pittsburgh and that's not ideal. But he's also way too cheap for like his talent level. So I like him a lot. I think Salvador Perez on the high end is also good against Detmer. I mentioned liking KC. You know, if you're doing the Minnesota thing, I think Gary Sanchez is definitely viable in GPPs. Obviously, anyone in your stacks, Darno in an Atlanta stack, whoever's catching for Toronto, Kirk for Toronto. But yeah, in cash, I don't have a problem just playing Contreras and moving on with my life because he's really good.
Squirrel, what's the play?
Yeah, so Contreras is good in cash, but Gary Sanchez, I'm always looking for power with catchers, right? I'm looking for somebody that's either going to break the slate with 2 home runs, or I'm just going to take the guy that's part of the stack and might hit, bases loaded double or, something like that.
Sure.
For the price, he ends up elevating everybody in the lineup. So yeah, I'm looking at like Gary Sanchez, Salvador Perez, like Travis Darno, guys that have power, Mitch Garver, and MJ Melendez is always this kind of sneaky thing with Kansas City because you can put him in at the catcher position instead of Salvador Perez.
Okay. All right. Take me to first base. By the way, are we all betting the overs on these weather games? Like, can we just bet the over on Minnesota? Am I crazy that I want the over in Minnesota? I want the over in Chicago. And I now want the over in the stupid Milwaukee. I don't even know why the hell they have that open.
Yeah. The bat has the Chicago and the Milwaukee game, a full run over Vegas.
It's almost like weather matters. And people are just like not quite they're starting to get it, but they don't quite get it. Give me a parlay the weather games, give me the over, and give me like $5 when you win your $10 bet. I don't know where we're at in the show. Carty, you're up.
Right.
Yep, first base.
Thanks.
Yeah, so first base, I think Shohei Ohtani on DraftKings because he's first base eligible there. I think the Angels are going to be super chalk. But then the lower owned guys you can pivot to. I really like Matt Olson because I like the Braves stack. He's got a lot of power. Vlad Guerrero definitely is going to be popular, somewhat popular as well. Pete Alonso, like teams aren't going to play. Neither New York teams is going to get like much steam. So Alonso or Rizzo, and like you can see these guys like hit home runs all the time, right? And then they can both definitely capable of hitting 2 home runs. Rowdy Tellez with Milwaukee. I'm starting to get more interested in Milwaukee and St. Louis as we talk about the potential weather there. Mm-hmm. And then maybe some Rhys Hoskins with Philadelphia.
Carty, interested in Big Meat Pete? That's his nickname, Big Meat Pete?
Big Meat Pete is fine today. I don't have a problem with him, especially in GPPs. I do prefer Ohtani and Vlad to him, especially in GPPs. Like, I love Vlad in your Toronto stacks. I love him as a one-off. I like Olsen in your Brave stacks. On FanDuel and cash, I think you probably just play Vlad, honestly, because he's cheap enough. But you can also just like kind of punt it as well with Juan Yepes hitting cleanup for St. Louis in this Milwaukee, open roof weather game. The cheap guy on DraftKings, though, is Dan Vogelbach. We're going to talk a lot about these Pirates because they're really cheap. Vogelbach's 2.5K. He's hitting cleanup. He's against Matt Swarmer. And it's almost 90 degrees there. So this is a good spot for the Pirates. We like Vogelbach. And then I like the GPP guys. Vlad, Olsen, Rowdy Tell, as I like to. So yeah.
Hey, Carty, I need your help right now because Yuv MC in the YouTube chat says he's one of those like weather doesn't matter folks. He says, "Yeah, Roth, sports books have never heard of weather. They just make their initial lines by throwing gum at a spinning wheel." Can you tell
that is the best characterization of it I've ever heard.
It's so obnoxious. It's like, yeah, sure, they may recognize that weather matters, but they might not recognize the extent to which it matters, and they don't actually care. They'll put a line, and then the public will move the line up or down based on the weather, right?
Yeah, that's the key part is that I think people are under the impression that Vegas has these like super, super highly sophisticated models that are setting these lines. And I don't think that's really the case. Like, yeah, they realize weather matters. When there's a Wrigley win game, we see the totals are high. Yeah. A lot of times they're not high enough, though, especially when you look at a sophisticated model like the bat. A lot of times they are not factoring in weather to the extent they should be. It's maybe just like a rough kind of blanket, thing they're throwing on the lines as opposed to looking at the specific conditions and whatnot. So, it's not like Vegas lines are the most accurate thing in the world. Like people beat these lines, the bat beats
right.
The lines.
And you see the public move the lines based on weather like all the time, and that's Vegas's response to being like, "Oh crap, maybe we didn't factor in weather enough." Right? Yeah. Am I crazy? I don't know jack shit about sports betting, but am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I mean, by this point in the day, usually people have hit the lines. They have moved to the extent they're going to move. But still, even at this point, I still don't think they've moved enough based on what the weather is in a couple of these games.
Anyways, it just pisses me off when people go like, "Oh, like Vegas doesn't know the weather." I'm like, well, then why did it change 2 runs? Why did the total change 2 runs if Vegas knows all?
The weather changes throughout the day, right? So like somebody's got to go out there if like the weather, prediction changes or weather forecast changes and actually bet the line to the appropriate level.
Sure, but it doesn't change that. Like, I know it's going to be hot and the winds are blowing out, Squirrel. Like, it's not like I'm calling for 95 and it's going to be 45. It's 95 or 92. Like,
it might be more of a football thing, when you turn on the game, like sometimes
with rain,
chance of rain and sleet.
Sure, I totally get that.
Or throughout the week, the wind projection will change for football, like that kind of thing. It's not like baseball where it's a couple hour window. You're looking a few days in advance sometimes with football.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Wherever the hell we're at, whatever position we're at, whoever's supposed to talk next, you're up.
I think we're on second base. I'll take second base. Second base is pretty gross today. There's not a lot of great high-end guys. I like Story and Boston stacks. I don't really like them enough to pay up there for them in cash games. I do like Whit Merrifield, though. Like I said, Detmers is not a great pitcher, very easy to steal against. Whit Merrifield's one of the best stolen base guys in baseball. His stolen base line today, if we're talking about betting, was egregious this morning. And I like him. He's reasonably priced, especially on DraftKings. You can also really, this is, I think, just a spot where you punt it. Like, if you're not going up to a guy like Merrifield, on DraftKings, like punt it with like Luis Rengifo or Josh Harrison or Jonah Bride or just like a really cheap guy. On FanDuel, I think you punt it with one of these Pirates. Michael Chavis is 2.2K hitting 5th. I don't hate Rougned Odor at 2.2K, especially in GPPs. And I think Javi Baez at 2.7 is a really good play. He'll have the platoon advantage against Hill. He's in Boston. It's cold, but it's a big park upgrade. He's a power guy at the very least in GPPs. He gives you a shot for a home run.
All right, Squirrel. Sadly, we have to speed this along a little bit. We've run behind. I don't know how that could have happened because I'm peak performance, but Squirrel second base.
I don't like any of the guys that Carty just no. Most of the
we tried. All right, I liked it for a second.
Tommy Edman leading off for St. Louis. Somebody didn't mention. The St. Louis stack is growing on me. Ketel Marte is back for Arizona. But yeah, I agree that it's not a great position. So there's really interesting like punt options. I would like punt it on DraftKings with anybody that's in the 2000 range, and there's a plethora of guys. And like some of them are not actually hitting up in the order. Like Jonah Bride is hitting second. Like Buddy Kennedy, who I've never heard of, is hitting fifth for Arizona. He's a second baseman, and he's 2000. So and then Luis Rengifo, and also like Brandon Donovan. It's 3,700 on DraftKings, so he's a little bit more expensive, but it's part of that St. Louis stack.
Okay, Squirrel, I want your lightning round thoughts on third. But first, did you know you can reserve your entries at the FanDuel 125K Tuesday rally? Only $4.44 per entry, 25K going to first. If you're looking for a little higher buy-in, you got the 200K Giant Grand Slam. Chance for 50K. That's only $44 per entry. So if you're high rollers, that might be the contest for you. I know I got a couple high rollers here. Squirrel, who's your best third baseman if you're in that high roller contest?
Best maybe Jose Ramirez, because I don't think people are going to go crazy with Cleveland stacks. So hope we go like a little bit lower owned than he should, because I think people will be playing a lot more Rafi Devers because I'll have more Boston stacks. Austin Riley with Atlanta, because I like the Atlanta stack. Brian Hayes is because I think people are going to go crazy with O'Neal Cruz, particularly on DraftKings. But I like Brian Hayes; he's the one that's actually leading off. So yeah, and he's third base eligible, and then maybe Bobby Witt Jr.
Carty.
Yeah, I agree. Jose Ramirez, I think, is definitely the top guy. I like Devers a lot in GPPs. I like Riley in Brave stacks. I like Chapman in Toronto stacks. In cash, I think on FanDuel, you're probably looking at like Patrick Wisdom or Chavis if you're punting, or maybe even Longo, or you're just going up to Jose Ramirez. On DraftKings, I think getting up to Ramirez is pretty easy to do.
Okay, I want to talk shortstop, and I want to quick aside. I saw a dude who I think is in the shortstop position, but I don't know baseball enough to know. His name is O'Neal Cruz, and he threw a ball so hard. He threw a ball across the field, and it never changed trajectory. It was just a literal laser beam all the way across. Is he amazing? Can I play him? Will he make me millions? Can I be his agent?
Yes, probably not, and no.
That's a good way to follow that.
Yeah.
Carty,
I watched the Pirates game yesterday because it was his major league debut, and they had a graphic on that he had the hardest, like the highest velocity throw for an infielder in Major League Baseball this year. He had the highest exit velocity for any Pirates hitter, and he had the fastest sprint speed for any Pirates hitter. It was the top of the fourth inning of his Major League debut.
In his first game. In his first game.
Yeah, and he's only 2,000 on DraftKings. Having said that, I think people are going to be playing him a lot like tonight because he's still just 2,000.
Right, yeah, just because of how hard, like people saw the clip and were like, I want to play that dude because I feel good about that. All right, Carty, you go first. Squirrel, we'll get back to you.
Yeah, I mean, O'Neal Cruz is the cash guy on DraftKings. He's 2K. We like the Pirates.
He's the dude? He's the dude?
Yeah, on DraftKings.
I'm so excited he's the
the
dude. That's wonderful.
But again, people are going to own him. So like in GPPs, you probably want to look to get different because he's a hot prospect. He's min-priced. The Pirates project well. On FanDuel, I think Bo Bichette at 3.1K is fantastic. Against Dylan Cease, people aren't really going to play him, but he's the top projected guy of the day. Xander Bogaerts in your Red Sox stacks, Dansby Swanson in your Atlanta stacks, Bobby Witt in your KC stacks. Otherwise it's pretty much up to Bichette or down to Cruz.
All right, Squirrel.
Yeah, it's all the guys. Maybe like Luis Garcia with the Nationals. I'm looking at like punt options. Andrelton Simmons is back. He's 2,000 on DraftKings with the Cubs. Yeah, I mean, like Carty, like O'Neal Cruz is going to be like one of the higher projected shortstops, and he's only 2,000 on DraftKings, and I think he's minimum price on FanDuel as well. But yeah, maybe Willy Adames with Milwaukee and Tim Anderson with the White Sox. So Anderson just came back last game, but he's always a guy who can get a home run and a stolen base.
Okay, let's run through the outfield. We have so many great comments and questions in chat we need to get to, but Squirrel, take me through the outfield real fast.
Sure. So O'Neal Cruz is also outfield eligible on DraftKings. But so I think Mike Trout's going to be really highly owned. I think Ohtani's going to be really highly owned. But I like Acuna, Byron Buxton, Christian Yelich. Like I want to try to get away from some of this Angels.
Can you repronounce Christian's name again?
Christian Yelich?
Is it Yelich? It's not Yelich?
Yeah, probably Yelich.
He just freaked me out with it. I don't know, weirded me out. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, Zuna. I mean, I really like the Braves today because I think like the starting pitcher might not go that long, so then you could potentially get deep into the bullpen, and then by like the 8th inning, you could have like Wilmer Flores out there pitching for San Francisco. So I like the Braves, like so Zuna. Oh, and Jesse Winker with Seattle.
All right, Carty.
Yeah, the high-end guys are all really good. Buxton's fantastic. Trout and Ohtani are good. Acuna is the high-end guy that I think is going to come in too low-owned. He's really good tonight. Juan Soto is really good tonight. And then in terms of like your cheaper guys, you have Juan Yepes for 3-1 on DraftKings. You have Whit Merrifield, who's outfield eligible again. Brian Reynolds, it's part of the Pittsburgh thing. Harrison Bader for St. Louis is 2.2K on DraftKings. He's in this 90+ degree Milwaukee game. Over on FanDuel, Max Kepler in the Minnesota game is good. Yepes again, 2.3 over there is good. So yeah, I mean and then the guys in your stacks, the same teams we've been talking about.
Okay, excellent. Hey, Taylor Ezel, who he's a Rotogrinders, he works with us, but he says, "Hey, Squirrel, screw you for stealing that $3,500 ticket last night. It was probably 98% to win before your Royal stack went nuts late."
Yeah, that helped me out a lot because I got two single entry teams, and one of them was a Royal stack, and I was in a bunch of like satellites for the Million Maker next week. And yeah, I saw like I just kind of edged them out. I just edged out like a bunch of teams. I think like some of the higher ranked like guys on Rotogrinders rankings were way ahead of me until like Dozier and Salvador Perez hit home runs in the 9th inning.
You caught up. Good job. Good work, man. Also, to Yuv NC, he was the one who said, weather doesn't matter. We've got a few people saying things such as, hey, Tony says, first thing I look at is weather. Another says, I just scrolled past it. Oh, Kevin is right. In baseball, I mostly bet weather games. Kevin nailed it. So you two fist fight to the death and see who wins. All right. Let's get some QQs here. How come the Orioles have not been mentioned at all?
Carty is a stack.
Yeah, I think Squirrel mentioned them as a stack.
Okay.
They're certainly fine. I have no problem with the Orioles. They're one of the probably top 10 or so stacks tonight, I would say. They're good.
FanDuel Cash, Brian Reynolds or Taylor Ward? Squirrel, you care?
I think I'd go Taylor Ward.
Carty, DK, GPP, Yepes or Cruz? By the way, I've got $1,200 left.
I mean, it depends entirely on the rest of your lineup. Cruz is going to be take Yepes. Yepes might even be better overall, and he's going to be relevant.
I love it. That's
like
bold.
Cruz is popular and he's hot and he's a prospect and like everyone loves him, but like he's a prospect. He might not be that good.
Oh, the anti-prospect Carty comes out again.
You're digging yourself a Fernando Tatis-sized hole.
Yeah, I love it. Squirrel, how crazy is a Met stack in a DK GPP? He says you can get the 45-24 Mets 1-5 for 30. So many numbers. I don't know what the hell he's trying to say. How crazy is a Met stack in a DK GPP?
I think for super large field, I think they're definitely in play. Like I think they're going to be 1% owned. So like especially if you're doing like 150 lineups, like if you do like 3% Met stacks, you're going to be like triple the field. And there's really no reason why they can't do well. There's just so many other good spots for offense that they're just being overlooked, and that's the primary thing you want to look for in a GPP.
Okay. And to be clear, Carty, this was actually Nelly Cruz, boomstick, old man Cruz, not young. We're going opposites.
Oh,
it's Nelly Cruz versus Yepes.
I think I'd probably take Nelly Cruz.
Okay, excellent. All right, DK Cash, Buxton or Ohtani? Cash, that's kind of your department there, Carty.
I love them both, but I'll take Buxton first.
Oh, it hurt my heart when you said it, but okay, I understand. Fix says, did the Twins projection just jump a lot? Do either of you have any info on that? Thoughts or insight? No.
They're going to be one of the more popular stacks. I think, particularly on Fanduel, I think they're underpriced. But I don't know if the projection just increased for any reason.
Okay, let's go. Hey, Soto or Otani? DK Cash. Carty?
Otani is the better option if you have the extra 400.
Yeah, there we go. We hit the lock. I think we hit the lock, right? Did we?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we hit the lock. There we go. All right. So I've encouraged a fist fight in the YouTube chat. They're trying to time out when they can fist fight each other, which I'm very proud of. That's good. Good job. I've done my. I've accomplished what I was trying to do. Eric Johnson says, "Squirrel the man."
Yeah, thank you. I think you're the man.
Yeah, right. You're the man for thinking Squirrel's the man. That is absolutely true. All right. Hey, here's the good part. We still take questions after the show. Like, are you guys done?
Are we what?
Are you done? You want to get out of here?
I'm cool to hang.
I was gonna say too bad because I still got about a half a beer left. We're gonna drink it. We're gonna take some QQs. You have a unique opportunity right now to get questions into. I got which way I'm pointing here. One of the greatest GPP players in the world, in Squirrel, who literally has gone to 50 live finals, or rather has won 50 live finals tickets. And did I say that right, Squirrel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I counted it up a couple days ago, and then I actually forgot to count. But I think it was like 52, and I think I've been to like 19 separate events.
Okay. Yeah, that's incredible. And I tried really hard not to drop an F-bomb there to ruin us forever. And then, my computer's dying. This is bad. If mine just closes out. Also, you have Carty, who literally created the most widely loved and distributed projection systems in the world. Everyone loves the bat. Even opposing places, they're like, yeah, well, you got to have the bat, right? Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. You said it, not me, but I'm not going to disagree with you.
But it's true. I'm friends with these people. Like, I'm friends with them. They're like, well, the bat says, so you have time right now until my computer dies to get into some legit questions.
Or
if you want to do what was that? What did you say?
Time until your computer dies or the cooler runs out of beer.
Yeah, one of the two. And the cooler's out of beer. All I have is this. So I'm going to take a few questions, and I'm not kidding. My computer's going to die really, really soon. And when that happens, you guys just peace out. Okay. Does that work?
I think that works.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a few questions. All right. Is it okay?
Comments.
Yeah. All right. Squirrel, can you play Manea and Gallon and DK GPPs tonight?
Yeah. I think Manea is probably going to be the most popular pitcher, but there's enough good pitchers, and that there's probably even a perception that he's going to be too popular, so that might even drive down his ownership. But I think Gallon's going to be really under-owned, so that's at pitching that gives you a good projected combination of pitchers. It's probably not going to be super highly owned.
Okay, Carty, is Soto the best hitter? Want Soto in play? Number best hitter to pair with a low-owned stack in Otani? I didn't quite get that, but
I think maybe he meant to put number one best hitter in there or something. Soto's definitely in play though. In pretty much any format, Soto's in play.
Okay, great. He says, sorry, I met Manea and Gallon in the same game on the same team.
Oh, because they're facing each other? Is that...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's okay. The issue is only one of them can get the win, but I don't think that doesn't usually kill you, because a lot of times nobody gets the win. Garrett Cole had a tremendous game last night. He didn't get the win. So I would maybe try to avoid it, but if you put both the pitchers and that fits the rest of your lineup, you can do it.
Love it. All right. Fick says DK GPP. Carty, this one's coming to you. Story Springer or Espinal Otani with a Toronto stack?
Do the Toronto stack.
Is it okay to put? I already did that. FanDuel GPP, Dozier, Kepler, or Yepes? It's Dozier / Kepler or Yepes. FanDuel GPP. Squirrel.
I'd probably go Yepes.
Carty, Fanduel Cash, Baez, Keps, or Chavez and Sal Perez?
Probably Baez Kepler.
Squirrel, how do you determine which lineup goes to switch contest? I don't know what the hell that means. Goes to which contest, maybe he means?
Yeah, it's just based on ownership. So like if you're trying to beat 10 people.
I can answer it. No. Yeah, I got this. I mean, come on, Jay. Come on.
Yeah. If
you're trying to beat 5 people, play the chalk. If you're trying to beat 5,000 or 500,000 people, you got to play some stupid shit. Like, that's the only way to do it.
I think it depends. Like, do you play in this kind of contest? Like some of the contests on DraftKings is kind of the same, like 10 people you're playing against. And so and they're generally going to like use a little bit of chalkier lineup. So you don't actually have to go that crazy with like 10 people, but yeah, like 10,000.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're in some, in the contests I enter that are $1 to win 100,000, if you play anything chalky, you're effed. You're going to split it with 100 people, right?
Yeah.
That's it. There you go. That's my game theory. Game theory by Roth. All right. Hey, I'm not feeling the matchup for Strider on FanDuel. I've got nothing but $300 left. I want to pivot. Let me read this again. I'm not feeling the matchup for Strider on FanDuel. I have nothing but $300 left. I did read that properly. And I want to pivot. Would Kyle Gibson be viable? Carty? All my bats have already started. Big field GPP.
I'm not a big Kyle Gibson fan. No, I would much rather play Strider.
Okay, great. DKGVP, Squirrel, White Sox stack a good play if you assume Gaussman continues this downward trend?
Yeah, there's one of those teams where nobody's going to own them. They're probably going to be another like 1% owned stack, and their chances of being the highest scoring team on the slate or like breaking the slate with like power and steals is definitely higher than 1%. Like people are kind of overlooking Tim Anderson just came back, and yeah, like he's one of those guys who can get a home run and a steal. So yeah, I like the White Sox. Like that's the exact kind of stack you're looking to be over the field on.
Okay, my computer's literally dying. I'm getting the final messages, but I'm getting in. Roth is off the rails. Roth is great drunk. Roth, I really, hey, sometimes it's a little fun to have a little fun. But I did get a great question, and if my computer's going to die, I want it to go out on this. Squirrel, what is the highest percent you ever lock in a specific player? At like MME, you're playing 150. What is the highest amount? Do you ever go 100%?
If there's like a really high strikeout pitcher, like especially on DraftKings, I might go to 80%. And if it's a smaller slate, like let's say even like a 6 or 7 game slate, but you've got like Garrett Cole and then like a bunch of like bozos, then I'd go up to like 80%.
Okay. Carty, do you ever MME or no? You don't mess with that.
No, not really for me.
Yeah, I mean you're too busy. Like you're doing the bat and doing all that. Like you don't have time to make a perfect MME. Basically,
yeah, there's an art to GPP lineups, and I, like you said, I am busy running the bat, and ownership projections are coming to the bat very soon. Lots of good stuff in the works.
Nice. Are your ownership projections on the bat based on the bat's projection? Because they should be based on like everyone's.
Yeah, they're not based on the bat. They're independent of the bat. They're going to be based on, models and what people, what it thinks the public is going to do.
That's exciting.
So it's probably heavily influenced by the bat projections, right?
You wish, or at least somewhat impacted by the bat projections, right?
Yeah, the bat might have an impact on it a little bit.
Well, I'm sure it accounts for that. Carty, have you figured out the hoop yet, or the ball, or whatever it's going to be? Have you figured it out? Or are you doing it?
No, not yet. Nothing in there.
Come on, do a basketball projection. Basketball's so great for what you do. Like, do it.
Yeah, but it's so low variance that I don't know. At some point, perhaps.
Squirrel, will you convince him to make the hoop, please? Or whatever the hell he wants to call it.
Check out the hoop. Yeah.
There you go.
But
we're in on the hoop.
Football projections are a little bit different. Like football projections and baseball projections, like it's really hard to do what he does. But like football projections, they're really low variance, right? Like you're basically just trying to predict the guy's minutes. And then you have a pretty good history of like fantasy points per minute. And I don't entirely know all that goes into it, but
I think in baseball, the edge between a really, really good model and a bad model can be pretty big. Where in basketball, I think the difference is a lot smaller.
Sure, because it's just like it's basically, I talk with Meansy all the time, who is a cash game player, and he's like, I want minutes, and then I look at your value, production per minute, and that's
it. Also feels like basketball is 10 months out of the year every night, and I don't have the capacity for that at this point. Between handling baseball, football, everything on the back end, it's just every day, year round, with a lot of overlapping. I don't know.
What if I paid you $300?
That's probably not enough.
Damn it. And I was expecting ownership in that for what it's worth, but I guess it's not quite enough. All right. Hey, guess what we did, guys?
We made it.
Yeah. It's like, can we please get out of here? Can we please leave? We're going to check the YouTube real fast, make sure everything's looking good here. Make sure it's no. All right. Yeah, things look good. Man, it's fun when there's no weather, and it's fun to get a little drunk with your friends on a stream, even if that's considered work. So good hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
We just got a naked HD chat, so that's great.
Yeah. Did we get one of those?
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's excellent. All right. Let's get it. All right. So for Carty, for Squirrel, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.